Everybody looking crazy, looking like a next time model. Won't you be my lady? I take you from Dubai to Toronto. I wasn't gonna tell you, your body been telling me let's go. Yalla, 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 let's go. Yalla, 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 let's go.
We stay this high all night, wanna feel it, take it in, let's drift away. Cause I think I've lost my mind, but I love it, and I'm trying to get away. Everybody saying yalla, the way she move that body, make me wanna spend my money. Everybody saying yalla, makes me hurt nobody, and nobody is the party. Everybody saying yalla, the way she move that body, make me wanna spend my money. Everybody saying yalla, makes me hurt nobody, and nobody is the party. Everybody saying.
My whole team on a wave now, feeling like the shit gonna pop up. Ain't no way we can slow down. 100K with the top up. We ain't even trying to do this. The whole world's telling me let's go. Yalla, 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 let's go. Yalla, 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 let's go.
Stay this high all night, wanna feel it, take it in, let's drift away. Cause I think I've lost my mind, but I love it, and I'm trying to get away. Everybody saying yalla, the way she move that body, make me wanna spend my money. Everybody saying yalla, makes me hurt nobody, and nobody is the party. Everybody saying yalla, the way she move that body, make me wanna spend my money. Everybody saying yalla, makes me hurt nobody, and nobody is the party. Everybody saying oh, oh, oh. Everybody saying oh, oh, oh. Everybody saying oh, oh, oh. Everybody saying oh, everybody saying the way she move that body, make me wanna spend my money. I'm loving your body, baby. I'm loving your body, baby. Everybody saying the way she move that body, make me wanna spend my money. I'm loving your body, baby. I'm loving your body, baby. Everybody saying I'm loving your body, baby. 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 I ain't never cried a tear in my beer in my whole life, and I ain't starting tonight. They say you're downtown, they say you're running round, they say they saw you out with what's his name. They said it's easy to see you way over me, but baby, two can play this game. It's alright, do your thing, I'll do mine. Trust me when I say I'm just fine. I'm gonna be giving out my number, getting wild, hanging out under the party lights until they shut it down, down, down. Gonna kiss the girl she likes me, gonna show her out my Chevy. Hope you hear about it all over this town, town, town. And I ain't never cried a tear in my beer in my whole life, and I ain't starting tonight. Ain't gonna be staying home, ain't gonna be all alone, ain't gonna be drinking, thinking about you. It's alright, do your thing, I'll do
Ain't no easy way, it's no shortcuts, gotta seize the day.
ASL. What's up, guys? Welcome to the ASL. I'm Tasteless, joined with Wolf. Brood War is back, bitches. How you doing, man?
Brood War is back, Tasteless. Look at this crowd that we have here in the studio tonight for some really good matches here. We have several TVZs. Every single match, again, just like last time I cast with you, has a Terran in it. There's going to be 3 TVZs and a TVP today. So if you're a Terran player, or if you're looking to get into Brood War and you want to play Terran, I definitely say this could be an informative night.
This is definitely the learning day for Terran. By the way, we have no TVTs, but we had a lot of those already. So definitely check out the VODs. It's so cool to be down here. We've got a huge audience here in the studio. And in case you guys are wondering, yes, Brood War is on the rise right now in Korea. It's
massively.
Pretty crazy. The game is almost 19 years old. What's interesting to me is that it continues to change.
It's always changing. The meta is shifting. Without patches, by the way. It's not like suddenly the Valkyrie gets buffed and everyone's using it.
No, there's been no changes. There are new maps, however, but I guess that's pretty par for the course with any RTS game. But I left Brood War casting about 6 years ago upon the birth of StarCraft 2, and I have to say I was really intrigued when we came back here and started casting this regularly that I'm seeing new stuff happen.
Yeah, every time you just start to see new and smaller tweaks and builds and different ideas, partially due to the maps, but also what's cool about this is people just figured out something that no one in 19 years figured out was a way to play the game.
It's interesting, too, because I really thought it was totally cemented right when I was, focusing more of myself onto StarCraft 2. And then, I come here and I see that not only are they, doing new strategies, they're using units that people weren't using before, like the Valkyrie. Yes, the Valkyrie has appeared somewhere over the course of 18 years, but never like it's been here now. Not to mention new styles of play. For instance, we have a lot of TVZs today, a lot of the Terrans going into that traditional Marine medic style, teching to the science vessel, and then they switch entirely into mech. And we haven't ever seen this really institutionalized as much in Brood War as we are seeing right now. I didn't know if it was going to work. Some Zergs are still beating it, which makes me wonder, is it going to stay this way? But it's cool to see that it's here and things are still continuing to develop in the game.
Yeah, I think the Terrans are so good now that in this matchup they're able to figure it out safely. That transition is always the hardest part. That's why you don't really see people do it. It's expensive to get those armories up, get those upgrades, get all your factories while you're operating mostly off of barracks.
And you're not producing that much between that switch as well.
Exactly, and you need a lot of gas. Every base only has 1 gas in this game, so that switch is very difficult to do. You kind of have to be either at least on even footing or kind of pressuring the Zerg with bio you have left while you're making the switch. And if something happens there where you kind of lose a tempo footing in the middle of the map, then you just die while you're trying to make the switch. So Terrans are so good now that they can actually make that happen.
So today what I'm asking myself is, are we going to see all the Terrans attempt to play that style? Is that just permanently the meta, or is that what some Terrans are doing while others may go for the traditional mech style, which has been it's kind of been off and on. It was used outside Korea a lot before it was used inside Korea, which was kind of interesting for me back in the day to see them adopt some strategies that were more prominent elsewhere. Or are we going to see the traditional bio style, which I think most people identify Brood War TVZ with, mass medic marine and science vessels coming out?
So this is this graphic we have here is just an Overwatch show match that's coming up with some of our Africa BJs, those who are basically just Africa streamers. We call them BJs here. And
broadcast jockeys.
Exactly.
Grow up, guys. It's not what you think.
It's not what you think. So this is going to be a show match that's happening, the KT Giga Legends match. But this is going to happen in Busan along with the Brood War Legends match, which you guys have seen, no doubt, a lot of videos of. Even Nalra is going to be participating in that one, Flash as well. So it should be a really exciting match that's happening in Busan on next Friday, I believe. So check that out. Okay, this is happening on Saturday. The Brewer match on Saturday.
I don't believe we've announced this yet, or if we did, they didn't tell me. We have the Legends match coming up. That is going to be super cool. It's going to be held in Busan starting at 7:30, so only 30 minutes later than this would be starting. That's going to be on Saturday night, and we got Yellow, Flash, Bisu, and Nalra playing in that. Those are 4 different players from 4 different eras. Some of you might be saying Bisu, Flash, same era. They kind of emerged at different times and were dominant at different times. But we're going to have those guys down there duking it out. This is super cool that Africa's doing this. Thank you again, Africa, for supporting Brood War, supporting the old school esports. So please spread the word on that. We're still trying to even get the word out there on this tournament. This is sort of a rushed deal that we had come in here to get English commentary for this, but this is the sister tournament to the GSL.
That's right, and I like everyone to kind of keep them in mind in that way. As when one finishes, the other one will finish at a similar time. They're kind of paired up in that way. They're happening back to back. You have GSL on Wednesdays and Fridays. This happens on the other off days. So basically, you're getting 4 days of StarCraft a week here in this studio from Africa. So
we've really
definitely check out both.
We've never actually had so much StarCraft going on in Korea at the same time. It's truly crazy to me.
Yeah, with Pro League and StarLeague on as well the same week. I mean, you're really looking at nearly 7 days a week of StarCraft. So it's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, no, it's kind of funny to me. I think we only have 1 day off a week where there's nothing, right? Is that Monday? Yeah, there's no StarCraft on Monday.
There was for a while with Pro League, but now that Pro League's going just in the grand postseason, that's no longer the case.
Sometimes StarCraft 8 days a week down here, guys.
Yeah, that's right. So here are our groups. By the way, only Last and Hero have advanced. So Group D is already decided. But when we look at Groups A through C, everything is still up for grabs here.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot more of this mapped out.
Especially Group A and C are, everyone is tied 1-1 in this round robin. So it could really, any of those 4 players from A and C can still get out of the groups. Flash, people were putting him as a big favorite, but he lost to C in that really cool TBT.
By the way, Group C, Group of Death for sure here in the ASL. Zero, the current hot Zerg, very solid, totally different way of playing the game. Flash, no explanation needed. Mind, a fantastic Terran player who has had a lot of success, as well as C. Those 2 guys from the older era, but still definitely a threat to Flash's reign.
Yeah. Well, in tonight's matches, we're going to start things off with that TBT I talked about with Effort versus Sock. Then Sharp versus Jaehoon. And the third match will be Zero versus C. And the final match of the night will be Last versus Hero. So 3 Terran versus Zergs.
And by the way, guys, we're doing this in the old school format that Brood War used. So it's going to be a best of 1. That's part just because of the tradition of Brood War, but it's also because Brood War games can potentially take a lot longer than a StarCraft 2 game. It can be a lot tougher to finish a Brood War game, which does allow for some great comebacks, but also does cause a bit of a scheduling complication here. If we were to have this like it was a GSL Codes, I think we'd all be potentially going home at like 2 a.m. when the trains have closed and everything else.
Yeah, if every series went to Game 3, it could last even longer than that.
Yeah,
so, especially with
sure.
how TVZ is looking these days with that switch to the mech in the mid game, and then the late game, which is so hard for either player to win with how Brood War works, the control groups and things like that. So,
and we'll be talking more about that when we get in the game here. If you guys are not familiar with StarCraft 1, chill out. Get your chair in recline mode, get a blanket. We are going to hold your hands through this.
Now, as you guys can see, Effort is a BlizzCon champion. Now, yes, we did have StarCraft tournaments at BlizzCon before StarCraft 2. He is the 2009 BlizzCon champion. It's one of the most prestigious tournaments in the world, where Koreans were finally able to prove, even though everyone pretty much knew consistently, that they won the tournament that had the foreigners in it, as well as the tournaments in Korea. And Effort is one of such players who was able to take that world stage.
So right now, I would dare to say I think Effort might be the best Brood War player. He did lose in what was a bit of an upset. Some people would disagree with me. Did lose in what was a bit of an upset to Shuttle, although he did 5-pool that game and then did end up bungling it. And obviously, he did 5-pool just like any other early pool you've seen with Zerg. If they screw it up, it's pretty hard to recover. Shuttle did a great job with that. Now, the player who's also very much on top right now is Sad.
Yeah, he's actually one of the more contemporary Star Leagues. He won a Sonic Star League. So that's really important to note, because we talk about Brood War and its eras. That's why the Legends match is so cool, because you have players from 4 different eras. But Sock played in the most recent one and is actually on top. He is a contemporary Brood War champion, as I like to call the new era, that we're in, the contemporary Brood War era, because we're talking about 2015, 2016 here. And it looks like most people are favoring Effort in this match, regardless, you and I included.
Yeah, I have a very hard time thinking that Effort shouldn't take this. I've been watching his stream a little bit on AfreecaTV. He looks perfect.
And he's so good. And he's been playing so much and so often.
That's right. I've been watching him play against Flash, where they bet against each other, and he's been beating Flash, at least in the games that I saw. I know they do that pretty regularly. but I had it open, flash a stream on one monitor, Effort's on the other, and I gotta say, Effort looks very scary, but Sack, the player who's stuck with Brood War, who's had a lot of success, let's see how he does against Effort here now. This is actually a very pivotal match in this group. If I believe the loser of this, and I might need some confirmation from our producer, but if I understand correctly, the winner of this definitely gets out of the group.
I think you're right. It'll be a 2-1 lead for that person. The map is going to be Overwatch, and it's one of our newer maps here at the Africa StarLeague. It looks like it's time, Tasteless.
All right, let's do this. Let's get hyped. Tell your friends to join us at our new tournament, the ASL. This is game number 1, Effort versus Sock.
김정우 최호선 ASL 시즌 1 16강
All right, introducing our players. Over here in the upper left, in the purple, it is Effort. And in the upper right, in the blue, it's Sack.
Close spawns here horizontally, so definitely going to favor Terran pressure with the bio units coming across. And so, you know, there's going to be sometimes a moment in this matchup in spawns like this where the Zerg has to get those 3 Sunkens up right in time to hold the push, or they might just simply lose too many drones.
That's correct. We've seen historically a lot of bunker rushes in this matchup, but I don't believe they're as commonly used against Zerg, because Zerg actually just got so good at holding it. They would have to pull off about 70–80% of their drones, but they're just very good at getting in front of the Marine and blocking it out. And getting in front of the SCVs. So I don't know if we're going to have that this time. We could see a fast command center, although that can be risky because some Zergs will rush you, and that can just be a immediate loss. But I think what you were saying is probably the most likely is that Zerg gets an expansion up, and then he gets a little bit of pressure there from the Marines. Sometimes they won't, they'll stay back, but it should probably be more of a middle-of-the-road game. At least that's my bet.
Yeah, let's see where the Terran makes his barracks as well. That's always a good indicator of where he plans to go with that early pressure, because sometimes they'll make it a little bit closer to the Zerg's base. Sometimes they'll be made more defensively.
So this is a hatch-first build. And Zergs can hold off a bunker rush. We're not going to have a bunker rush, I believe, just because we don't see the Terran scouting. So this is a little bit more common 2016 Brood War meta. It seems like a lot of Terrans. Protosses are doing this too. Zergs are scout with the Overlord, so they're always going to have some idea. But a lot of players just not scouting at all at the start, which, you know, for me, somebody who played since the beginning, feels a little bit weird, but I understand it. Because you don't start out with a lot of workers in Brood War, you only start out with 4. You send a scouting worker out right away, that's a lot of money lost.
Yeah, and if you say at 10 workers when you send one out, or even less, just conservatively say 10, that's 10% of your mining gone. For a scout that may simply be denied on a 4-player map if you scout incorrectly. Luckily for Zerg, the Overlord goes here, so he has all 3 spawning locations scouted that are available to him. And he's going to see it with the Overlord already. Turns the drone around ASAP, knows exactly where his opponent is, and knows that he has to respond accordingly, because if there were cross spawns, he wouldn't be as worried about that early pressure, because it takes longer to walk across the map with his Marines as medics.
Now, I do want to point out, Sack is actually playing, in my opinion, pretty surprisingly risky here. He didn't wall in. He went for gas first. Now, if you were playing in like 2005, you would have possibly lost the game already, because Zergs did put some pressure on a lot of times. But it seems like the game's so macro-oriented. Terran did not even wall in. And he's going immediately for a factory here, which is interesting. Now, there are some cool builds where you get 2 factories and pressure them. You could do some drops. Effort is going for like a very old, solid standard build. And let's see, is he going to get 2 starports, or is he going to get 1?
Let's see. A double starport Wraith can be really, really awesome to watch. It's an exciting Terran versus Zerg build.
Okay, so this is like, I'm actually not totally clear on what this build is. I don't know if he's getting the Vulture. We don't have tabs in this, by the way, guys, but okay, he is going to get 1 Vulture.
Vulture, yeah.
And that's going to be to hold off the Lings. As you can see, he doesn't really focus on any Marines here. And this is kind of cool. And you know what? This might do very well against what Effort is up to. Now, Effort streams a lot, so His play style is definitely out there. Granted, he still is a pretty versatile player. It's not the easiest thing to predict against. But it seems like he wants to just have one Vulture so that he can't just die to some Speedlings. And then he's going to get the Starport. Now, let's see. Does he go for a drop here? Does he try to get a fast Science Vessel? I mean, what exactly is the game plan?
Yeah, it looks like he's going to start a Wraith right away as that is spinning. The Machine Shop goes up here as well.
Now, we have seen the mech style used. A lot of it was bio into mech, but this could just be a straight-up mech build because we don't know what he's upgrading at the Machine Shop. That's the factory add-on. So let's take a look at this. Now, you see the drone down there in the bottom left. He put that down there. That might have actually been the scouting drone. You hide that down there because Zerg almost always take another, oh cool, moving shot. That's a lot harder to do than it looks. You put that down there because Zerg always take a third base in the main, at least in the current meta.
Yeah, so you can control that secondary ramp.
Yeah, get lurkers there and they just can't get up.
Right. Now this first Wraith here is going to serve almost like a Corsair in the PvZ matchup. It's going to shut down scouting. It's going to clear up these Overlords.
Right. Or if we were talking, just to give StarCraft 2 references here so you guys don't feel alienated, or a Phoenix, right? Just to take out some Overlords. And check this out, man. He sends the Vulture down here. Now, it's pretty predictable they're going to take this main. So if he gets down there and takes out this drone with a Vulture on the map, I don't know if ever can take another main.
This is really smart.
Oh, wow. Is he going to be able to go to the Extractor?
He does. Nicely done, but at least he is blocked there by that Spider Mine. So you can't take this location without clearing that up, and the drone won't trigger it.
I got to say, though, it would have been a lot better for him if he had actually just killed that. But I guess from here, he might even just try to cancel it. Okay, he's going to try to sneak on there, but he gets denied.
Yep, there's the Spider Mine. Very well done.
Oh,
and this is huge because now he doesn't have that base down there. And worst case scenario, would have at least scouted the base. And we have, it looks like, Cloak coming up with a science facility, so he's going to go right to vessels.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, it looks like he might try to get that here. Now, you got to be careful with Wraiths. They die super fast to the Hydras. And I'm sorry, is the science facility done?
Yeah, it's just now finishing, I believe.
It's just now finishing? Okay. So he's getting the science facility. That's going to be for the science vessels, like you were saying, most definitely. And I got to say, I actually really like Sock's build. Now, interestingly, Effort not going for Mutalisks here. He's actually going to be going for a quick hive, it looked like, because we saw the Queen's Nest being made there. By the way, guys, Overlords in StarCraft Radar, and I'm sorry, some of you guys are probably rolling your eyeballs, especially if you're like one of the older people watching, since I'm explaining this, but we have a lot of young people watching that don't know anything about StarCraft 1. So all Overlords detect.
Yep, every single one. You don't have to make Overseers.
That's right.
So they're very slow. Obviously, getting Overlord speed is very expensive, so it's not really reasonable to do.
Yeah, if he has Overlord speed, he can definitely get out there and try to get those mines right away. But with the Vultures out here to shoot down Lings, it makes this little minefield out here a lot trickier for Zerg to get out on. Right now, I would actually say I like the Zerg's position, the Terran's position better. Now, he got a Queen again. We keep seeing Queens, Wolf.
Yeah.
What is going on?
Let's see what he does with this. He might try to snipe this Siege Tank with the Spawn Broodling ability if he has enough energy.
He might even try to just parasite it.
Yeah, get some vision. There's a lot of different utility for Queens in this game than how Queens operate in StarCraft 2. There's kind of defensive units. It looks like he did spawn Broodling, but I'm not sure on what.
Oh, no, I don't think he did, actually.
He must have just given vision and he attacked his own unit, the Parasite.
Well, I mean, he could just use this to scout. Okay, he's Parasite. That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. So with Parasite, he would have to get Medics with Restoration to get rid of that, which is... This is like sort of also outside of what I'm used to seeing people do, which is really interesting. I don't know what this means exactly, but with Parasite on the tank, he can actually just follow whenever the Terran pushes. The tanks are pretty valuable, especially in mid-game TVZ. So he can actually try to just keep his eye on Terran, and that's going to be pretty frustrating right now for Sock. Now let's see if Sock actually goes for mech or for bio here, because that's another factor. Just because he got some Vultures out here with mines doesn't inherently mean he has to be going mech.
Sure. I think he in fact added barracks at home. Whereas we do have a very quick hive here for the Zerg. A scan goes down. This Queen is just continuing to get vision, but here's the bio we were talking about. He's got a few siege tanks here. Looks like he's setting up for a push.
So he's going for traditional bio here, which is super interesting. And we're going to have to see how well this does. Now, I don't know if he's going to get Restoration or not. It's a medic ability. It's not that much mana, but, well, the upgrade's not exactly cheap, considering how tight these builds get. But he needs to do that if he's going to be able to Parasite that. And I think that Queen might continue to Parasite the units
Right.
that are over there at that expansion, especially the science vessels, because that makes it a lot easier to hit with Scourge. And by the way, Effort did sneak this hatchery over here. Yes, a Vulture's attacking it. A Vulture is never going to kill a hatchery if Zerg is trying at all.
This is a great split for the Zerglings here. Very well controlled by Effort, but this might be enough bio.
Oh
Lurkers
my
come
God.
in, though.
Okay,
And he has
so
to retreat.
he's actually going to just keep pushing. This is Ling Lurker. This is a deadly combo because you can spend all your gas on the Lurkers, and then the rest you have this solid ground army of Lings that come in here, and he wants to get that tank. If he gets the tank here, and he does, he can actually start to push this. Now, he may run back.
Yep, the addition of the Fire Bats here really helping to clean those Zerglings up in the front lines. And there was no way, of course, to kill the vessels.
Oh,
The Spire wasn't finished yet, so he didn't have any Scourges with the push.
I almost forgot to point that out. Yeah, those are Fire Bats. They look like little ketchup bottles walking around. And those are great against Zerglings,
Yeah.
but not so great against Lurkers.
No, and definitely not going to be helpful at all versus the Scourges, which are going to be showing up pretty soon here, I can imagine.
Right, yeah.
And this base is finally secured. He has a Nidus Canal that's going to help him defend it.
So there's no offensive Nidus in this game, guys. You can only build a Nidus on creep, and the creep in Brood War is actually not that interesting. I'm sorry to say. I love this game, but there's not a lot you can really do with creep. So creep is just sort of wherever the hatchery is, and that's what you build on.
Yeah, you can extend it, but it doesn't give you the same benefits that it does in StarCraft 2.
Right, right.
You just basically get more places to build your stuff with the creep colonies. As you can see here, it's a little bit further spread, but it's not going to make his units move faster or get more health.
Oh my God, he's on
not
move
looking.
command.
Oh man,
I can't believe that happened.
that's
Wow.
pretty painful there.
Okay.
And he knew it too
so-
because he had the parasite.
Real quick here, the Defiler consumes the Lings. You can consume anything Zerg, but it's usually Lings. That gives you mana. The mana allows you to cast Dark Swarm. It's an orange cloud. Anything that's under Dark Swarm, friendly or hostile, cannot take damage from ranged attacks. Now, Fire Bats can damage it, but the Lurker's going to kill that pretty fast. And this is why the Zerg has the Terran has the Science Vessels out early on. He needs to be able to detect and also irradiate, which is a spell that can kill the Defiler. And he's going to instead irradiate on these Lurkers, but there goes the Dark Swarm.
See, that protects those units so they can't actually be killed. Even though it looked like he was kind of being greedy and rushing in there with the pairing of that Dark Swarm, the Terran has to retreat. He can't kill them.
So a little subtle thing that we saw back there, he actually ran the Defiler into the Nidus to hide it from the Science Vessel, and then he ran it back out. Meanwhile, down here at the bottom, it does seem that we're going to have this area get pushed, but with one Defiler and Dark Swarm, unless Terran irradiates that Lurker, Terran kind of can't get in there, which is one of the reasons why we've seen a lot of Terran switching to Mech later on, even though this is kind of new. So he goes for Plague. This is another spell. It'll drop your HP to 1, but won't kill you.
He also saves the Defiler too, so very massive value, which means that Lurker gets more value because now he's one-shotting anything he encounters there.
Exactly.
And it's just one Lurker, but because of the Dark Swarm, he's basically invulnerable. The control versus these Spider Mines by Effort in this game has been incredible as well. He splits off whatever Zergling is targeted to minimize the damage. Saying just one there. Oh, again, another snipe on the vessels. And Effort is just playing out of his mind. He's finding these weak points here in Sock's play, and he's exploiting them.
Yeah, he's doing a very good job. Now, Terran did take a third base, and Terran's still out on the map, pushing around. So this is still kind of scary. But I got to say, again, Effort with these snipes. The dropship is going to get hit.
Gets another dropship for free here. Well, it's the first drop he's killed, but another air unit. He's going to find this one. The parasites are allowing this. He would never be able to find that and chase that without the parasites we saw early on.
I really want to toy with what Effort's doing, man. This makes me really curious because his playstyle is so different. We're kind of ending up, by the way, into where a Terran Berserk normally looks, but the way that they're getting there is actually really different, right? You don't normally have a queen coming out here right away.
Think about it in StarCraft 2 terms. The queen is kind of like an infestor, and to get a hive, you need the queen's den. So that's kind of what he's done here. He's rushed out this tech unit early, but it's allowed him to transition into hive much faster. And he's basically able to pick off these vessels as a result from those parasites.
So he's switching into mech now. He's also lifted the barracks off here. He's going to use this to spot for expansions and kind of hover around the map. Good drop over here. Whenever the Zerg takes a natural on the low ground, the main's free to take. But Sock did a good switch into dropships. Drops up there. This is keeping Zerg on 3 base versus 3 base. Zerg definitely needs to get a 4th up here if he's going to be able to support an army.
Now this tank is going to get caught here. Effort is constantly finding Sock with his units unattended, and he's punishing him for that. And we're seeing it again once more here. Let's see if we can get a Defiler in here for Dark Swarm. There's a Dark Swarm used right here. These units are dying for free. But at the front, I don't know what's going on over there. It looks like the Terran is backing off. Must have been another Dark Swarm going down.
Yeah, so this is actually a great little play. These have the adrenal upgrades. We sometimes call them cracklings in Brood War because they attack so fast. Looks like they're on crack or something like that. And he's doing a decent job. I got to say, effort, we already saw this in one of the PvZs he played where, like, he was, like, on even bases against the Protoss and just barely managed to win. He's very good at making a lot happen with a little, which is a real testament to how great he is. I think most Zerg players would eventually dry up against a Terran player who's pushing this heavily. In this case, effort is like really doing an incredible job. However, Sokka switching into that mech style. Let's see how this works out for him over here. We have a muted tech over here for effort, which is interesting. I don't know if there's going to be enough Goliaths out necessarily right away.
Yeah, I think he's kind of identified the switch is happening and wants to pick these siege tanks off to weaken what the Terran has. We were talking about how difficult it is to actually switch in a moment like this when the Zerg actually has this tech. They can get punished for it before the Goliaths are out. Looks like he's waiting and trying to hide.
Yeah, he's hiding him. This is actually a great way to beat a mech player. It was used, and it was one of the reasons why people thought mech maybe not be as viable. Because they have to balance how many Goliaths versus tanks and vultures. If you come in there all of a sudden, he needs to get a Dark Swarm here like right now.
Looks like he's microing this meanwhile and is less focused on those lurkers. He will lose one and his Defiler actually losing two. The Vessel will be targeted first. It looks like the Goliath right underneath.
Really nice job here.
My bad, but we'll kill this turret, and there's not enough anti-air to deal with these mutas right now back at his natural.
Now you got to remember there's so much APM being thrown around everywhere over here. Terran is going to go and try to send his army, looks like southbound. Right now, Goliath's being upgraded here for Sok. I'm not sure how many more mutas are coming up here because we don't have a production tab, but he may be switching into a ground army because he's forcing into Goliaths. This is kind of how Zerg have always been able to win games in StarCraft 1 or StarCraft 2 is tech switching really dramatically. And with this Muta surprise here, he's going to be able to take out these turrets. There's just not quite enough over here. Well, hold on, with the Goliath coming in here.
And yeah, the Goliath coming from the north. In fact, 3 of them coming up.
Yeah,
he does hold on to this position.
And while this is going on, Terran actually expanded to the center right, but losing all these tanks is huge.
Yeah, he moved the tanks away and wanted to be aggressive with them to attack while they're away from the mutas, but they get found here again. Might have even had a parasite in one of those tanks, because the Queen is always around, always checking for that. And this dropship gets spotted as well. Will be taken out. Easy peasy.
Oh my God. A little bit of misplay there. He should be able to catch up to it no matter what. There's no boost on that like in StarCraft 2. So, as the game continues on here, a lot of SCVs were savaged over there in the upper right at that natural base, but Terran is expanding pretty steadily. Now, I don't know how many science vessels he's going to get. Occasionally you can just out-Mutalisk them if you get ahead enough. Science vessels are the counter to Mutalisk because that irradiate, it does a... it does an area of effect damage.
It's similar to Parasitic Bomb if you're a StarCraft 2 person.
Exactly, thank you.
But it works on the ground as well as the air.
That's right. It hits everything that's biological. So, when you bring that out into the game, you can kill off like a huge group of mutas. It's hard to pull them out because they stack so heavily. But in the meanwhile, he's definitely keeping Terran honest over here.
Yeah. There's enough Goliaths here, though. I don't think this is going to be the engage he wants to take. They do have range, and the turrets are there as well. A lot of Lings get caught here en route there as well. And this is actually a scary moment for Effort, I would say. He's finding some damage here, but he's trading expensive units to do so. Finding an angle here at the mutas, good micro. You kind of bounce them back and forth and minimize the damage they take. And they stack like this. You have to put them in a control group with an Overlord. That's an old trick.
That's right, yeah. You put one Overlord in on some other side of the map, and then you put the mutas on the other one, and the AI forces them to bunch up super tight, which makes it harder to target the weaker ones. And we see the Vultures now coming in here. This was a smart play.
Yeah, there's nothing here, and with all these mines, even if they come out of the Nidus, they're going to get blown up instantly. Good angle, though, at least, and he doesn't avoid those mines, forcing a retreat. But this is the scary push here. Does he have enough, Tasteless? This is a large Terran army. He needs a scan.
He needs Dark Swarm is what he really needs here. And I don't know if he's going to get that up here in time.
Okay, here comes the push. Dark Swarm going down here, buying him some time. He's got a few Scourges as well. Does finally clean this up. Maybe he comes from behind the mutas. There's not that many Goliaths.
It's kind of interesting, right? So he's done a pretty impressive job with these Mutalisks, but with the mech army, when you have enough, what you do is you can just attack in there, and the Mutas can't contest the Goliaths. But what I think he's planning on doing is actually intercepting reinforcements while he banks up an army to try to face us head on. I mean, this is a very expensive army here on the Terran ground that he can't really afford to lose. I don't know what the upgrades are in the Muta. They're 0-0. Okay, great. The Observer was reading my mind there. So the Mutas are fighting off against upgraded mech units, which means they just don't kill them as fast, which makes me actually question Effort's decision to switch in the air since he's been massing so many Mutalisks. I would think he would have to have armor you know, and attack to kind of combat this, because you can even see just 2 Goliaths are dying pretty slowly to an army like this.
They have +1 armor.
In fact, Effort might be close to tapping out here.
I think you're right. There's too many Goliaths. He has such a great siege opposition. He's killing eggs before they can hatch. Killing 2 siege tanks here isn't going to save him.
That's
GG.
It. Oh my God, Effort lost. He might be knocked out. We'll have to see how the rest of this group goes.
A lot of upsets in this tournament in the group stage, Tasus. We're seeing it happen. Sock is a champion, but right now Effort is definitely by far considered to be in better form. So this is definitely a big upset here. We saw different styles from the start there, the early Queen, the early Wraith as well.
That was really interesting. I have to say I liked a lot of what Sock was doing, but part of this is that Effort played so, I don't want to say timidly, he was just really focused on making bank early on, that Terran only had 1 Vulture, and that Vulture literally went down to deny the 3rd base. The mech switch was also cool. I like the Queens being used in there. It really shows you that the matchup is operating in like a way that I'm not used to doing, and I don't know if anybody's casted as much Brood War as me, at least in English. I think I probably have done the most of that. I'm seeing a lot of stuff here, guys, that I am not used to seeing at all. Okay?
Yeah.
Like the Queen right away, that looked like something from like 1999 that should have disappeared, and now it's here. And it's being used by Effort. He's a very good player.
You're getting a lot of vision with this. Do you really want to upgrade your medics? You're not going to be using them later on in the game anyways.
Exactly.
And he was able to find these science vessels consistently with his Scourges because he had those upgrades. And I think that was what he was trying to do to kind of switch to the mutas. He was trying to get vision of, okay, what kind of composition do you have exactly? Do you have enough anti-air with these units to deal with my mutas? I think you don't, so I'm going to do this. But I wonder, like, what would have happened because he had that Wraith opening. What if the Wraith didn't die? Then he just denies the Queen with the Wraith. There's a lot of different stuff that could have happened.
That's a really good point. Yeah, if he had killed, if he kept the Wraith alive, then because the Queen was just like there, right? It's just like kind of floating over that army doing that. That's a really good point. I don't know. It's cool. This makes me think a lot. It really goes to show you, even if an RTS isn't patched, people can keep figuring it out, keep breaking it, keep solving it. We're going to go on to an interview with Sack, which does confirm my suspicion. Yes, he will be getting out of this group. So let's see what his thoughts are.
예, 아까 전부터 같이 있었던 것 같은 그런 느낌이죠?
네네.
예, 오늘 기분 어땠습니까?
아, 네, 오늘 컨디션 좀 안
How do you feel?
좋은데 이렇게 좀 힘들게 올라와.
My condition wasn't too great today. Oh, this is just like a StarCraft 2 interview. I'm so happy I was able to advance.
어느 정도 했었습니까?
It was actually a hard group for me.
아, 근데 저는 자신 있었어요. 연습하는데 자신은 있었는데 그냥 주위에서 그냥 다 졌다고 생각해가지고 좀 편하게 했던 것 같아요.
예,
So I felt
저도
confident against
사실
Effort,
최동호 선수가
but
이길 가능성이 좀 있다고 봤어요.
But everybody else was telling me that he was going to beat me. So,
대1 정도로 최동호
anyways, when it comes to myself, I'm glad I was able to do well. I was doing well against circuit practice.
아, 네, 감사하네요. 원래 100대 0으로 좀 유명하시잖아요.
예.
아, 네, 1%라도 주셔가지고 감사하네요.
예, 다음에는 오늘 경기를 보니까
He says thank you to the commentators for giving him 1% in prediction.
다음 경기는 8강에서 어떤 선수와 맞붙고 싶나요?
Who do you want to meet in the round of 8?
누구랑 해도 상관없는데 그냥 좀 프로토스랑 하고 싶어요.
I don't really care who I play against.
테란전
I guess I prefer to play against the Protoss.
오, 그럼 프로토스 걸리면은 그냥 쉽게 이기고 4강 간다.
Historically, at the end of the Brood War, Protoss not doing as well as Terraners are.
테라
Do you
일단
think you're
테란
gonna be doing
걸리면
as well
영웅
against
아니면
Protoss?
4강 간다고 생각합니다.
프로토스는요?
뭐 프로토스는 상대에 따라서
얼마 없잖아요.
As long as it's, even if it's a Terran, if it's not Flash, I can defeat every other Terran. And anyways, I feel very confident against Protoss players.
네, 이렇게 뭐 추첨으로 하게 된다면 윤중이랑 또 하고 싶어요. 만약에 올라오게 되면.
이때 잡아버리겠다.
네네.
예, 이민중 선수도 꽤나 이 좋은 실력을 갖고 있다 보니까 잡으면 참 재미있을 것 같다는 생각이
If I
들고
just draw
다음 경기
the brackets perfectly for myself in the round of 8, I wouldn't mind facing off against Shuttle, also using the Eyewater.
이번에 막 준비하는데 그 원래 팀에 있던 막 정명원 선수가 빌드 같은 것도 다 찾아줬어요. 이기라고. 그래가지고 이제 군대 가기 전에 이제 8강 하니까 그때도
Also, thanks to all the people who helped me practice, sharing their strategies and their time with me.
나눠줘야 되겠다는 생각이 들고 다음 경기에서 정말 오늘과 같은 그런 멋진 경기 보여줬으면 좋겠습니다.
아, 네.
예, 뭐 마지막으로 한 말씀 해주시죠.
We'll be looking forward to some more great matches from you. Any final comments to your fans?
더 열심히 하겠습니다.
So now that I'm in the round of 8, I'm going to practice super hard to do better and advance as far as I can go. Coolio!
Basic interview, but liking to face Protoss.
Look, I know I just beat Effort, possibly the best player currently alive right now, but I'm pretty disappointed in my play. I would give myself a D, D- the most.
Really good play, though.
StarCraft pro gamer interviews. They
it's,
don't change no matter what iteration of StarCraft we're in.
The meta for the games that we cast change, but the interviews today just
The
don't.
interviews just do not. We are going to go to a short break. When we come back, we'll go on to our second best of one in tonight's ASL. Stay tuned.
You lit a cigarette as I watched you walk away, turn to a silhouette. But your words will never fade. I know I'm hanging on, and you still numb the pain. I gave it everything, everything, but we still lost the way. You tell me that it's over when it's only just begun. You tell me that you're sober when you've had another one. For the memories, the silence is deafening.
짬뽕이네? 아이 어서 시켰어래. 그거 오뚜기 볶음 진짬뽕인데 제가 볶았어요. 볶음 찐짬뽕래. 볶음 찐짬뽕, 볶음 찐짬뽕. 깜빡깜빡하지 말래. 오뚜기 볶음 찐짬뽕. 또 대빵 나겠어래.
질서와 수호를 위해서라면
마귀 화염이
누구도 나를 막을 순 없어. 방해하겠다면 전부 부숴주지.
나는 KT 기가 인터넷. 당신과 끊김없이 게임을 즐기죠. 어디서나 우린 함께해요. 어때요? 나랑 콜라보 하실래요? 당신의 KT.
메이플 스토리 2 신규 직업 스트라이커.
이거 좋은데?
봄꽃책에서 듣다. 있는 그대로 맑고 깨끗하게 피어나라고 겨울을 이겨낸 봄꽃이 내게 말했다. 맑고 깨끗한 칠성사이다.
답답할 때 마셔봐요 트로피카나. 상큼상큼 과일 듬뿍 스파클링.
리얼 프루트를 스파클링으로
과즙이 톡톡 쏜다. 트로피카나 스파클링.
미소가 생기다. 화사함이 생기다. 건강한 하루가 생기다.
pH 8.0과 풍부한 미네랄로 핑크빛 생기가 생기다. 아이시스 8.0.
이제 모두 핑크하세요.
스타일? 상쾌하면 되는 거야. 상쾌함의 높이가 다르다. Stylish Sparkling Water 롯데 트레비.
메신저의 혁신이다. 이런 실시간 라이브 움짤 기능은 지금 스노우웹에서밖에 없죠. 굉장히 많은 팬분들이 영상 메시지와 메신저를 보내주고 계십니다. 아프리카 원탑 역캠답게 이설이라고 메시지가 왔는데 길 가다 만나지 마라. 길 가다 만나지 마라고. 느낌 있죠? 리본 하나 찬 다음에 딸랑딸랑 고양이 섹시합니다. 외쳐 스노우. 라마.
오호, 물로 지금 거의 뭐 수분을 그냥 갖다 들이붓는 것 같아요. 자, 바른 쪽과 안 바른 쪽입니다. 차에 보여드릴게요. 내가 발라봤는데 대표네. 앞으로 그냥 나도 찍어 발라야 될 것 같아요. 잘 봐요. 자, 이렇게 깔끔하게 아래쪽만 다듬어도 선이 딱 살아있잖아요. 선 라인 자체가. 잠깐만. 이런 느낌이구나. 오늘 여러 가지 제품들 올리브영에서 제가 지금 제품을 받아서 사용을 해봤는데 굉장히 좋은 것 같아요. 올리브영 제품이 짱인 것 같습니다.
네, 아프리카 TV와 함께하는 킹덤 스토리 연애의 신.
이거 사극을 찍는 것 같아요.
정말 안 어울립니다. 약간 왜소하고.
맞아요. 위초고 3국 대결.
장비! 나이스!
나 심쿵했어.
17,800. 와! 군주는 무릎을 꿇을 수 있어요. 아, 뭐야 이거 어떻게 보는 건데? 저에게는 간호 장비 같은 존재입니다.
진짜 유익한 게임이니까 여러분들 진짜로 많이 해보셨으면 좋겠습니다.
올리브영 플러스 유소나 예뻐져라 뷰티 방송. 홈쇼핑 아닙니다. 첫 뷰티 방송 시작하겠습니다. 달콤한 꽃에 겹겹이 둘러싸인 듯. 아 여러분, 이 모든 제품들은 올리브영에서 살 수 있습니다. 새로운 네일 아트로 사랑을 표현할게요. 감사합니다. 고맙습니다. 세상에.
KT와 아프리카TV가 함께하는 기가 콜라보 페스티벌. 강렬한 태양 아래 해운대 백사장에서 펼쳐지는 국내 최대 기가급 페스티벌. 기가 인터넷의 속도로 즐기는 e스포츠의 축제. 아프리카TV 인기 BJ가 총출동하는 KT 기가 레전드 매치 오버워치 BJ 리그. e스포츠의 성지 부산에서 펼쳐지는 KT 기가 레전드 매치. 폭풍저그 홍진호, 최종 경기 테란 이영호, 몽상과 프로토스 강민, 혁명과 프로토스 김태경. 다시 만나는 전술 속의 스타크래프트 영웅들. KT 기가 레전드 매치. 아프리카TV 인기 DJ들의 축하 공연까지 즐길 수 있는 올여름 최고의 기가급 페스티벌. KT와 아프리카TV가 함께하는 기가 콜라보 페스티벌에 여러분을 초대합니다.
짬뽕이네.
와, 맛있는 거.
근데 어디서 시킨 거요? 그거 시킨 거 아닌데. 어떻게 볶음 진짬뽕인데? 어떻게 볶음 진짬뽕? 볶음 뜬 짬뽕, 볶음 뜬 짬뽕.
와, 정말로 화끈하네.
볶음 진짬뽕 외에는 절대 현혹되지 마소.
ASL.
What's up, guys? It keeps on filling up in here. The ASL is here. StarCraft 1, the biggest league right now. We have the old school, we have the new school. We've got it in Korean, we've got it in English. Thank you for joining us here at AfreecaTV. We have already finished our first best of one. The games keep getting crazier as we're seeing new strats in the meta. It goes to show you that this game is in a constant state of evolving.
And Tasis, we are running out of chairs here in the Freak Up studio right now. As
That's
more
true.
and more people are pouring in by the second. They're running in here, trying to snatch up the last chairs so they can get down and sit and watch the rest of the matches.
We got a fire hazard going on in here.
Yeah, look at it. It's massive. The crowd, you can't even catch it all on camera. People are definitely going to be standing here in a few minutes if this keeps up.
So, going into this next matchup, it's going to be a Terran versus Protoss. We've got Sharp coming in here. Sharp looking pretty damn good, I must say.
Yeah, he's not a player that's historically very successful in individual leagues. He got third place in one of our other ASLs, and that's basically it. You know, in Contemporary StarCraft, he's gotten around 32 and around 24, and that's as far as he's gone. But he's already gotten 2 wins here, so a big favorite to get out of this group.
Yeah, he's a good player. You know, we got to remember, like, even some of these older games, these guys do still keep changing. So we've had people, you know, that didn't have a lot of success for a long time. One of them was, as an example, was Stork for quite some time. This was kind of and then eventually rose to the top. And I think this guy might be on a similar path here right now. But he's going to be going up against Jaehoon. Now, Jaehoon's games so far, they've been, I think, on the more questionable end of the Brood War games we've had, especially as Protoss versus Terran. If you see the most recent game we did, I thought it was pretty lukewarm.
Yeah, I mean, he did lose pretty harshly there to Piano, who's now going by Oregon, as you guys could see in that last game. You and I commentated together. We talked about it a lot. He didn't make very aggressive choices when he scouted what the Terran was doing.
Here's the thing is he didn't even scout right away. He actually just sent out an SCV like way late, which is what some people are doing. We saw this happen in our previous TVZ where a Terran player didn't scout for a long time and instead used the minerals to try to get ahead. But in this case, it was like Terran went for a immediate command center into a bunker, and then Protoss gets there and he's got like Dragoons in range. So he just does some damage to the bunker. The SCVs repair it, and then Terran's ahead.
The Terran does a drop too to deny his third base, and he goes into a late Reaver drop, which gets almost nothing done at all.
Right.
So everything he did just didn't work out, and Piano just locking down that third base, killing the probe, was about to make the third Nexus, which he was making pretty late. Definitely did not go in his favor there, Taysa. So we'll see if he can step it up. I gave him, a pretty small chance here. In fact, mine's one of the smaller ones there. But when you see a game like that, it does make you worry, especially because this is the same matchup that he lost before.
I feel like a lot of what Jaehoon did to himself was a series of choices that were already countered at the very start of the game in the last PBT he played. I think if he does a better build this time around, there's a chance. But, in this matchup, if either of the races make a bad choice, they're going to be up against the ropes for a while. It doesn't mean they can't come back. Brood War has some great comeback mechanics, but at this level of play, that's a tall order.
조기석, 김재훈, ASL 시즌 1 16강.
In the bottom left, in the yellow, it is our Terran player Sharp. And his opponent here in the upper left, in the blue, the only other starting location, it's Jaehoon. Now,
this is Tech Bay Mountain Taste. This is a map where we've seen some crazy stuff.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think there's actually a lot of cool tricks that Terran could, Protoss could pull out and try to exploit the Terran. Now, for those of you guys who played a lot of Brood War, it's kind of always been like that, right? There's a lot of sneaky stuff that Protoss can do, but if Terran deflects it, because a proxy in Brood War is pretty unforgiving, especially for Protoss. Like, you can do a lot more damage, I'd say, with it, but then if it doesn't work, I mean, you got this stuff out on the middle of the map. But I would feel like if there was a chance for Jaehoon to do something pretty creative, this would be the map. Now, you might ask, why is that? Okay, well, first of all, you don't have a ramp. You have like a little low ground
opening
entrance. Yeah. So there's some rushes Protoss can do there, especially with Dragoon range. There's also the fact that you start out in a like a valley, like a chasm almost.
Right.
And that means there's a lot of places Protoss could hide stuff around there and start maybe dropping Reavers or getting DTs in there. I mean, there's a lot of crazy stuff.
Yeah, and the rush distance by air is much faster than by ground, so the shuttle play is very effective. And even later on, if this game goes late, which it did in the Terran versus Terran Flash and C, the Arbiter play that you could see with Recall can be quite powerful, I'd say, as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're definitely going to be able to get in there. But that being said, it's also a map that is it's a little bit skinnier than some of our other maps, and that can be an issue for Protoss as well in the later part of the game.
Yeah, it's hard to spread your units out and get a good engage versus the sieged up tanks and vultures.
Beyond that, they can even just lock the map off. Now, this is one thing Protoss can do to be annoying to the Terran. They come over here and they start attacking the SCV. That SCV is not able to repair that. Okay, he gets over there now. So,
unlucky move here.
Yeah, it is random where that SCV goes, so it looks like Fortune's not on his side, and he has to swap that out.
Yeah, and in StarCraft 1, I know a lot of people watching this are StarCraft 2 fans, you can't lower depots. So that SCV is stuck out there for a while now because he can't raise his barracks, obviously, or then he'll lose his wall in. So it's kind of an unfortunate situation all around. I do want to point out, as we have this build unfolding, that we had a ton of signs shown earlier. Some people are coming from all over the country just to watch this because this is the resurgence of Brood War you're talking about in Korea. People have not been able to watch this game at the highest level in such a long time. And it's now coming back full circle. So many people are, I mean, it's crazy how far away people are coming to watch this, taking the bus at 6 a.m., one guy said. So it's really cool to see.
There's a lot of hype around this. So let's go ahead and see how far this ASL goes, man. I mean, it's really changing everything. By the way, we have a ton of viewers on the Korean stream.
Yeah.
I know we're kind of reintroducing this to a lot of our viewers here on the English stream, but we have like a ton of people watching this, making this one of the more watched esports globally already. When you combine those numbers, I guess not truly globally since our numbers are smaller, but I mean a lot of just the sheer number of people that are watching right now. Anyways,
it's going to be a Dragoon range build. It looks like here. Tastes again here for Jaehoon because he is researching that singularity charge right now, and I guess he's going to try to pressure this wall off here. He's got a pylon up here.
So
what do you suppose that pylon is really going to be for in this case?
That's to block off vultures. That's a good question. He wants to make sure that vultures can't run all the way around there. And I'm glad you pointed that out, Wolf, because I would have actually just skipped that and been like, oh yeah, fuck vultures.
Yeah, it just kind of threw me off there.
No, it's fine. Ask anything you want, because that's probably what the viewers might be wondering too here. So he comes in here with this Dragoon. Now, he got both the Marines, so it doesn't actually matter if this bunker finishes. The Vulture's not going to fit inside of it.
And the Dragoon just waddles through.
so this is what we were talking about. A lot of tricks for the Protoss to do. So he does his quick Dragoon rush, and he's going to run by here, but the SCV block is sick.
Yep.
In fact, he doesn't need to actually run by this like this. This is a little bit sloppy control here. So he's going to send the Dragoon, I would have assumed, to go all the way around there. But instead, he's going to be able to keep the pressure on here. Now, with Dragoon range, he can actually hit the bunker without the bunker hitting him back. Now, this is a little bit different from the other Jaehoon game we saw, okay? Because he can actually get the SCV that's making the command center. With the command center not finishing, that is a problem. Oh my
accidentally walks into range. Oops.
Now, just so you guys know, Dragoon control it's a lot harder than it looks, okay? So even in the best players in the world, they'll have those Dragoons hit. It's really tricky. If you're very good at control, you can do a lot more damage than an average player. But you have to be very careful because it's really easy to miscontrol that. That's what I was talking about.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, the pylon will block us off on this. This is like a newer map, or at least for me. I'm not as familiar with it.
No, it's totally new. Totally new for me as well. So he gets a tank out here. That's what ends this rush. And the Dragoon actually didn't die. Now, each Dragoon at the start of a PvT is super important. You don't get a lot of them. So to do this now, oh, I see what he's doing. Are you ready for this, Wolf?
He's going to shuttle in.
He's going to ferry in the Dragoons and hide it there, or maybe not hide it, we'll see. And then he's going to send a Reaver in here. Now, this is a little bit risky because you're kind of giving up. Your base is naked back at home.
Yeah, but he wants to just draw the Vultures in to defend, so he's not as worried about dealing with them on the harass here. This will actually deny this eBay, which is important later on for the Reaver drop.
Right.
So he shuts that down. That's going to need to be made. He needs to respond to this. A Reaver will be made. Back at home, he's sending the shuttle back as a result.
I believe in this build, you get shuttle speed. Now, the Vultures, if they get the mines up there, they're in pretty good shape against Dragoons, but the Dragoons will just continue to kite backwards. Now, Dragoons, guys, they do a lot more damage than Stalkers do. They're a lot scarier.
Every shot means a lot more.
Yeah.
They fire slower as well, and they move slower. But this is a nice scout on the Reaver. That's huge.
Now, he's going to lose this one Dragoon. Now, the question is, where does he send the Reaver? And I think shuttle speed should be finishing in a moment here, if I remember this build correctly. So, there's not a ton of locations that he can try to cover here. The siege tanks can't pick them up with medevacs or anything like that, because we don't have medevacs. We just have basic dropships in this. He can start to try to target down a lot of the SUVs. Now, if he goes into the main, I would find this to be unwise. He should drop the Dragoon first, like that, to soak the shot. The Scarab will fire, and it connects, but it does
nice.
not.
3 Marines.
Wow.
And he gets
really
the tank
good
with
job.
the second one there.
Really good job.
Oh, nice. Heals the Marines, too. Tastes. This is starting to really add up here.
Yeah, and see, he just stays outside of the range of the tank. It's kind of tricky until that happens.
Yep.
So he actually probably has to back off now. He can't afford to lose that. It looks like in this build, he just gets one Reaver. It would make sense, right? If he got 2, it'd have to go all the way back.
Really expensive, too, to do that.
So, you know what? I actually say Terran's okay. I mean, that was a little bit tough to deal with, but, he wasn't killing SCVs.
Exactly. He killed a tank and just a few Marines, which the Marines are going to be useless the later the game goes on anyways.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, the Marines are just there because you don't have enough mech stuff out. And this is the proper response. You don't have to do this, but I think this is wise by Sharp. He's getting a Wraith just to make sure the shuttle can't fly around anymore. He can also use that to try to kill observers with scans.
Yeah,
although less common, that's an option.
It's, again, I keep comparing this to StarCraft 2 because I know a lot of viewers of StarCraft 2 people. It's kind of like getting a Viking to shut down the Warp Prism. You know, it's one of those things where you just keep it out, and he just can't come in anymore, and it kind of ends. He just has to take the shuttle home, use the Reaver elsewhere. So this is kind of interesting. We've seen a little bit of sloppiness from Jaehoon, just like flying that observer in there. I don't want to be too critical. He did take some damage on that Reaver, but it's easier. It's easy to say that he shouldn't have had that happen, but when you're actually in the game, and these are like the very best of the best right now, guys. The Reaver's permanently bruised, which makes it a lot less useful to hold off pushes. So Protoss expands to the upper right. Protoss kind of act like Zerg in this matchup in the Terran. This is like the most mechy of the matchups. Ooh, this is so risky. And the Wraith can come back and pick this off if he finds it. Here it comes.
Yo, is that his second Reaver? Because that one had full HP.
Yeah, that's a good question. I thought the first one was damaged, so if that one did have full HP, then it certainly would be a second one.
That might mean there's 2 in there, unless we missed that it got shot down. That matters because 2 Reavers parked somewhere on the map. If the tanks and vultures go into it, everything dies. Anyways, the tech here from Terran, he's getting the upgrades. This is pretty common in TVP.
Yep, it is too. It looks like.
Okay,
double noises there. So
that's right. So he's got that out there. As you can see, the pylon wall, the vultures are not vultures. The vultures. The vultures are fat enough that they can't fit through a basic pylon wall, and that really helps Protoss try to stay alive. If you don't have these pylon walls up, you're going to lose everything right away.
And blocks like this with the Dragoon as well. You just make sure. Oh, that was sick, picking that Dragoon off. But you just make sure that the vultures can't get in. Even one vulture can be disastrous in a mineral line like this. As you can see, and he can drop some spider mines down. Here they come. This is not enough Dragoons.
This is a pretty cool push that we're seeing here that you could only really do on this map in these kind of positions. So he's dropping down here. He's driving out these units. Now the shuttle coming in here, that's going to be the big threat. And this is a speed shuttle, so he's going to be able to get this. And he needs to.
The Wraith, though, is going to really cause a problem
this
here.
This was actually pretty bad, I got to say. He should have been able to get the shuttle back because the shuttle will actually outrun the Wraith. But with the Reavers all the way over here, look at this. What?
Here's a second shuttle.
For some reason, there's a second shuttle.
Okay, and this is the one that was low from earlier. He needs to drop out immediately, and he will. That was a nice save. So a bad situation turned into an okay situation.
So I guess this is something that we just didn't see on screen, but there were apparently 2 shuttles out, and then there were 2 Reavers there. So he actually does manage to save that. Jaehoon having a little bit of a struggle right now to try to stop this harass here. He does have some decent walls set up, but with dropships out, you can kind of circumvent the utility of those pylons that are used to wall off here. However, I'd say Protoss is definitely holding his own here.
Yeah, he's building an army. He's losing a probe here, a probe there. He kept those Reavers alive, but the army is getting larger. And I want to ask you, Taste, because you're a Protoss player, right? Would it be unwise to make it 1 cannon there at that far right base?
Oh, that's a good question, actually. I think against dropships, that's okay. You mean by the minerals?
Yeah, just like kind of in range to protect against the vultures that are going to run in there.
That can be good. See, the argument against it, though, is that you could have basically made a gateway instead of the cannon. We also don't know if he has a forge, but he's going to have one if he doesn't have it eventually because Terran's upgrading so heavily. But that's the thing is you might feel safer with a cannon, but then you're going to have more Dragoons incrementing out of a gateway. So a lot of the top pros, they'll try to just really finesse this because you don't get a ton of Dragoons. I mean, we're seeing a lot of them everywhere, but each one is pretty important. Whoa, he didn't get that dropship.
Okay, that's huge for the Terran here. Sharp can find a lot with this. Oh, that Reaver will get the Scarab off.
Yep,
it will bruise the rest of those vultures as well. They didn't die, but they're damaged.
So this is a pretty interesting harass we got over here. Now, I do wonder how effective it can be with the shuttle out in the game, just because you can drop the Reavers or anything else if you want on that. And that is a speed upgraded shuttle, so it's pretty nimble.
Yep.
So he's actually... Now, that might look funny. Why would he fire down there? That's because the one that he's on top of can't hit him. So he fires at the other one and then focuses down the one close to it. So good technical micro there by Jaehoon.
Yeah, I think this could be more effective if the Wraith was here, but it's not. So that's a little bit of extra damage there. Every spider mine is annoying to take out. That's why the Observer kind of has to be ahead.
Yeah, this is one of the tougher things for Protoss is to try to keep track of that Observer while moving out on the map. The Observer is really slow and it dies really fast, but if your Dragoons step into a spider mine field, and there are some exceptions to this, but if they... Okay, hold on.
Oh, good evacuate here.
Yeah, that was actually pretty important because a lot of SCVs were transferred over there. So...
It's crazy to see, by the way, how both Reavers are down at 7 and 11 hit points. And like that's how Protoss works as a race, right? The shields allow them to still be useful here. Oh my god! So many SCVs going down here. Oh, that's how Scarabs work.
Yeah.
If you've never seen that before.
Yeah, actually slipped right through there. Nicely done. Takes out these tanks. Now you don't want to overextend here with Protoss.
Oh, the Observer as well. Looks like he will take it out.
Now this is super gutsy. He needs to pick. Oh my god, good save.
So
it's like
scary
a split
here.
second. He'll go for the depots here. If he targets that right, he can get all 3. And it's not like the depots are super important, but it's just there. So you might as well just try to just do some damage because it forces Terran to try to move their army more quickly.
Oh, he's doing so much damage to these tanks too, even.
By the way, guys, these Reavers, every Scarab they fire costs money. So it's like really important. For instance, if you lose that and it's full of Scarabs, that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Now
Also, the Scarab moves in not a linear fashion. It doesn't go like a disruptor shot will. It kind of has its own way of going. No one really knows, but sometimes weird things do happen with that. Oh, so, a Fleet Beacon and not an Arbiter Tribunal. Looks like we're going to see a carrier switch here.
So he's going to go for the carriers. I think that could be good on this map. We'll have to see. But Terran's doing this pretty interesting push. And
he's in range of the Stargates.
Oh, wow. Okay, I guess that shows you how
good the tank range is. And he lost the Reavers, too. So, I mean, can he really deny this position?
And I believe he lost one of the shuttles as well. Or no, maybe he did. Maybe it actually came back up.
Well, this Stargate is going to go down. The other one is still in range.
Yeah. Well, I think that might actually cost Jaehyun the game. Really good push here by Sharp.
He committed so many resources to those that he can't get back. This pylon wall is going to go down. He does make the cannons I mentioned earlier. This base is secured, but the tech commitment he made, he has nothing but Dragoons. He doesn't have that many Zealots. They don't have the leg upgrade.
The thing is, normally Protoss, they want to go for Arbiters, but occasionally you could try to sneak out the carrier attack. But if you sneak out the carrier attack and it stopped like this, I would almost say that's the point of no return. You'd have to have some really good engages. Okay, now this actually, hold up.
One carrier gets out.
There's one carrier out here. Now he wants to try to get that science vessel. Oh, he has him down here.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay, never mind, guys. He's still in the game.
We didn't see it. This is how Brutal works sometimes.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, I'm like, if that's his only two, he's going to have one carrier. It's like a giant flying paperweight.
Okay, so even the crowd and the Korean commentators were as surprised as we were. He does have a decent amount of glides in that the defense matrix is making this a lot tougher to assault, but I think he will finally clean this up. There's only 2 left.
He actually should get that science vessel like right away, because that can actually fly out of here. I think that might have been a bad choice there. He's going to go for the tanks instead. But see, there's a pylon wall up here. Now, Jaehyun's picking the tanks instead here and ignoring this Goliath. And he's going to send the rest of these Dragoons up here. This might be actually questionable to send the Dragoons up here. It's like me being a little bit nitpicky, but I feel like, you know, even losing a few Dragoons here is not worth it, because you need a good ground army with the carriers. Occasionally you'll get to a point where there's like you have like over a dozen carriers and it's insane, and that's also super interesting for how both the races have to handle it. But if you've got a ground army, you really want to try to keep it alive, because they're forced to make Dragoons. I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm talking about. Because they're forced to make Goliaths, Zealots and Dragoons are great against Goliaths. Exactly. So you want to have this like pretty deadly combo.
You force a counter to be made, but then you have the counter to that as well. You already preemptively have it. These basic units, the Dragoons.
Exactly.
So this is pretty exciting. What we're going to see here. Carriers are my favorite kind of unit comp to see in this matchup.
It's so fun, actually. Because it becomes a really technical chess game about where do you move the carriers and can Terran pin it. Now Sharp's moving out. A really quick side note before this picks up. Terran has the right resources to keep making Goliaths because he has a mineral only. Protoss has the right amount of resources to keep making carriers because he has a third base with a gas.
Yep, and these interceptors, again, just like the Scarabs, are not free. Just like in StarCraft 2, you have to pay for these. So if the Goliaths start killing all the interceptors, these become less effective. They become a mineral sink. And he's actually massing up turrets to help out with that as well. But if he sinks all of his resources and all his army to that location, then the Dragoons run by and attack down here to the south.
This is pretty smart because the army can't immediately jump on top of this. The Terrans can't jump on top of the main here. The Protoss is going to try for a counterattack. He's going to try to just sit and squat in the Terran's main, and then just use the carriers to barely fend off. Now, you see how the carriers are back there? He's rebuilding the interceptors before he re-engages. Now, the Reavers are so good against Goliaths, and this is a super cool play here.
I think this might just be too much for him to handle, because look at all these elves coming down.
No leg upgrade, by the way.
Yeah.
Looks like he's been skimping a little bit on that. Now, what he needs to do, he needs to actually like jut into the main base. He's going to get the command center, but he has to get inside because it's much harder for the Terran army to push on this. And this means while that's happening, the carriers are able to remake their interceptors. Oh, that was good.
Okay.
He's actually doing damage up here, and the Terran army can't even get up here. This may be a super technical checkmate move here by Jaehyun. I think, first of all, Terran shouldn't have moved out like that. I think he should have stayed back.
This is, without Zealot legs, not going to be as effective. It's still a large Protoss army.
It looks like the Zealots are moving underwater or something, like they're like wading through a swimming pool, but that's going to be too much, I think.
I think he's going to have to type out here.
I think so. He may try to drag the game out, but frankly, with the number of carriers and the lack of SCVs and overall expansions for Terran, I think this...
he just doesn't have money, right? I mean, he's still killing Stargates back at home, but he can never kill these because he has no money to make Goliaths. The crowd's going crazier as they see this because they know there's no money for Goliaths to kill these anymore. This base isn't mining. And he's even going to lose his eBay, which means no more turrets.
Spot. That was floating over there so that he would see the shuttle coming out. That's a GG. Okay, really nicely done there by Jaehyun. I think he's really redeemed himself from the previous game we saw, because that was certainly not easy.
Well, that was an exciting game. I love to see carriers used like that, and just how the map worked there, using the shuttles to defend. Some scary moments with those Reavers, but he kept them alive at the last second. They found damage later on. Yeah, and I mean, it was cool. He forced the tech switch into Goliath, and he kept his Dragoons alive.
So I want to go back and talk about that, because there's nothing really like that in StarCraft 2, that carrier tech you see. And I know that there are carriers in the game, but just the way the game works, because you're controlling so many groups of units to move out, and the carriers are just one control group, it's a lot tougher for the ground army to actually deal with the carriers. And in StarCraft 2, if you're in a winning position, you just slide your army in a lot of the times. And a lot of times it's not even close. But switching to that tech is tricky for Protoss because they're sacrificing ground. But he did do the proper carrier switch, and I think Terran actually attacked in too early. It was still just a Protoss on 3 bases. That's not a ton. So what did he do? He moved out a little bit too quick, and he actually managed to hold that for the time being. And the Terran doesn't have to attack there. They can be tempted to. But if you don't, what you do is you mass up Goliaths, and you actually just make turrets and just lock off the bottom part of the map. And then the Protoss has to shift into sometimes another phase of the game. It's interesting. Tough call for Sharp. He tried to make the call. The counterattack was actually perfect. I don't know if a lot of players would have thought to just do that to go into the main.
Yeah, he also killed 2 of the Stargates. So maybe in that moment he felt like, okay, maybe I don't need Goliath right now. Maybe he's going to switch out.
We thought that.
Yeah.
And then we looked down and there's more Stargates down there, which made for an interesting game. But he barely did that. But really that counterattack actually is what did it. It was like the carriers freaked the Terran out, so the Terran moves out. But that push position, he had to like ferry units down there. I don't think you're ever going to do that against carriers alone.
No, it's not going to happen.
Because he pushed like that, the counterattack got into the base, started doing damage. The Terran army had to turn around, and by then the carriers have grown at that exponential rate. They're too big, they're too strong, and that's checkmate.
Yeah, he upgraded them too. You know, it's just they do so much damage so quickly. That's why they're powerful, and how they can move. The range of damage they can put off is crazy.
It is. It was actually a great redeeming game there for a Protoss player. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, a Terran vs Zerg for our next best of 1 in tonight's ASL.
짬뽕이네? 아이 어서 시켰어래. 그거 오뚜기 볶음 진짬뽕인데 제가 볶았어요. 볶음 찐짬뽕래. 볶음 찐짬뽕, 볶음 찐짬뽕. 깜빡깜빡하지 말래. 오뚜기 볶음 찐짬뽕. 또 대빵 나겠어래.
질서와 수호를 위해서라면
마귀 화염이
누구도 나를 막을 순 없어. 방해하겠다면 전부 부숴주지. 기가 IoT 헬스. 올레 TV 켜고 퍼팅하고 바이크 타고 체지방 체크까지 실감나게 재밌다. 기가 IoT 헬스. 김지원의 KT.
메이플 스토리 2 신규 직업 스트라이커.
이거 좋은데?
봄꽃책에서 듣다. 있는 그대로 맑고 깨끗하게 피어나라고 겨울을 이겨낸 봄꽃이 내게 말했다. 맑고 깨끗한 칠성사이다.
답답할 때 마셔봐요 트로피카나. 상큼상큼 과일 듬뿍 스파클링.
리얼 프루트를 스파클링으로
과즙이 톡톡 쏜다. 트로피카나 스파클링.
미소가 생기다. 화사함이 생기다. 건강한 하루가 생기다.
pH 8.0과 풍부한 미네랄로 핑크빛 생기가 생기다. 아이시스 8.0.
이제 모두 핑크 하세요.
스타일? 상쾌하면 되는 거야. 상쾌함의 높이가 다르다. Stylish Sparkling Water 롯데 트래비.
모바일 게임을 넘어선 액션 RPG 히트. 양 팀이 이제 정해졌는데 그냥 대결하면 좀 재미가 없으니까요. 탈락. 이선을 향해 쐈어요.
큐피트야 뭐가?
이 정도라면 4분 때 마무리되나요? 자, 이거 3대1 뒤에 들어가는데요. 유저 전체에게 깃털 1000개를 선물로 드립니다.
타이밍이 지금인 것 같습니다. 그만한 게임이 지금 모바일 게임에는 없다고.
힘찬 행사로.
You chose the wrong side.
우리 올리브영에서 드디어 루이조를 변화시키기 위해 우리 아프리카와 함께 루이조 변화시키기 대장정이 들어갔어요. 이게 스타일 옴부 제품입니다. 피부 밝아지는 것 같은데? 와, 이름이 올리브영 클라스구나. 러마띠. 와우! 영국 스타일. 존나 멋있네. 나가면 번호 따일 것 같은데? 여기서 마무리할게요. 우리 제품은 올리브영 제품이었습니다.
KT와 아프리카TV가 함께하는 기가 콜라보 페스티벌. 강렬한 태양 아래 해운대 백사장에서 펼쳐지는 국내 최대 기가급 페스티벌. 기가 인터넷의 속도로 즐기는 e스포츠의 축제. 아프리카TV 인기 BJ가 총출동하는 KT 기가 레전드 매치 오버워치 BJ 리그. e스포츠의 성지 부산에서 펼쳐지는 KT 기가 레전드 매치. 폭풍저그 홍진호, 최종 경기 테란 이영호, 몽상가 프로토스 강민, 혁명가 프로토스 김태경. 다시 만나는 전설 속의 스타크래프트 영웅들. KT 기가 레전드 매치. 아프리카TV 인기 DJ들의 축하 공연까지 즐길 수 있는 올여름 최고의 기가급 페스티벌. KT와 아프리카TV가 함께하는 기가 콜라보 페스티벌에 여러분을 초대합니다.
짬뽕이네.
와, 맛있는 거.
근데 어디서 시킨 거예요? 그거 시킨 거 아닌데. 어떻게 볶음 진짬뽕인데? 어떻게 볶음 진짬뽕. 볶음 뜬 짬뽕. 볶음 뜬 짬뽕.
와, 정말로 화끈하네.
볶음 진짬뽕 외에는 절대 현혹되지 마소.
ASL.
We're back, and so is Brood War. This is going to be our third best of one tonight. A TVZ for you guys. We just finished up a pretty cool TVP. The Protoss did manage to outmaneuver the Terran and finish that off with a carrier tech.
Yeah, really exciting game there. We saw basically what I think you and I were talking about in the makeup room in the break. Everything that people who've never watched before but have heard about it, the Buggy Dragoon AI, the Vultures, the Spider Mines, the Mass Carriers being viable, you know, it's like everything you, and the Reaver shots, the Scarabs doing crazy things, it's everything you heard about Brood War but you never got to see before. So
yeah, it's crazy because the game is really hard as far as controlling everything. The game doesn't do anything for you, but you can still play it at like the highest level that there is, and it still remains competitive and still continues to develop. But yeah, I mean, trying to move Vultures around and lay the mines and micro the Dragoons, it's a lot tougher than it looks. And of course, to see the cool outmaneuvering there at the very end, to see that actual chess game unfold after we're done with all the little jabs that happen in and out there early on is pretty cool as well.
Just a reminder of the stuff we've got going on this weekend. This Overwatch show match is totally unrelated to Brood War, but it will be happening on Friday in Busan. But as we already announced earlier on Saturday, there will be the more exciting match, which is the Legends match. Yellow, Flash, Bisu, and Nalra. 4 Legends from 4 different time periods.
You guys gotta see this. It's gonna be sick. Get your asses into that stream, or at least get your butts down to Busan.
Yeah.
I guess it would be the opposite. At least get into the stream. Otherwise, get down to Busan and watch it live. That is going to be, I got something in my eye. That is going to be at about 7:30. That'd be 30 minutes before when this normally starts. And it's going to be a treat.
Yeah, it should be really awesome.
Brood War is coming back. It's on the rise.
Some of the most amazing Brood War matches were held on the Busan Haeundae Beach.
That's
so
right.
There's a lot of history with that, too. We even had Brood War Legends play against each other in StarCraft, too, at the beach as well because of the history that's there. If you guys have never seen Firebat Heroes Ceremony, check that out.
That's
Google
true.
that. You can see actually
YouTube
just how big... when you look at Firebat Ceremony, you can see just how big Brood War was at its peak.
Right.
With how many people were in this crowd on the beach when he just ran off stage. I'm not going to spoil it. Go watch it.
Yeah, definitely check that out.
It's awesome.
Haeundae Beach in Busan has historically had the largest esports events, or these audiences, I think, anywhere, ever.
Yeah.
I don't know. How much was it bigger than what Worlds had for League of Legends?
I mean, it's probably pretty close, man.
Humans actually packed into a place, and I know someone's like, LOL, tasteless. Check out the images of people at Busan Beach for StarCraft 1. It's
out of control.
Crazy.
I was there just last night, actually doing Heroes,
That's
and
right.
the crowd was massive. And you have all these chairs set up right, but then you have people, just like hordes of people around the entire stage, just watching. People walking by being like, what is this? And they watch for 5 minutes and they stay because it's an amazing game.
The esports tractor beam. Pulled in. All right, guys. We're going into our third best of 1. This is one that I think everybody's been super excited about. First player we have is Zero.
Yeah.
Zero is, a lot of people are saying, the best Zerg out there. I was talking about how amazing Effort was, but Effort got wrecked today.
He's played so many games, like, at the end. Like, okay, I talk about this being contemporary Brood War. I think 2009, 2012 was almost like postmodern Brood War.
Postmodern Brood War? That's so funny.
I mean, he made it to second place there at the ABC Mart MSL. It was actually one of the tournaments, the first Brewer tournament I ever watched live was that one.
Yeah.
I think he's a Zerg player was always overshadowed during that time period by Jadong, but he is very, very, very good. And he never played StarCraft 2. He never switched. When that happened, he was like, nope, I'm playing Brood War until the end of the days. And he's one of the best Zerg players in this tournament by far.
This guy's got a very big fan base out here. He's very crafty. He's very solid in the new meta. Again, this matchup especially, Terran Berserk has undergone some heavy changes. We're seeing a lot of Queens used. Yes, that's right. Person who's watched Brood War for a long time that just came back to it. I said Queens in this matchup. Terran switching to mech in mid-game after going bio. Yes, that's right. I'm not lying.
Yep. Now, C has a huge fan base as well of foreigners. As I mentioned last time we cast him when he played against Flash, where he beat Flash, which was huge. That's a big upset. He was temporarily on the Team Liquid, which I know a lot of you guys came to this stream from right now. So
that's right.
There's a big attachment by the foreign fans to this player, but he's also quite famous in Korea as well.
Yeah, this guy has a lot of charisma. People just love him. And I have to say, I actually don't know who's the favorite here. I think I leaned a little bit on Zero, if I remember right. Yeah, just slightly in favor of Zero here.
Yeah,
but I mean, it could go either way.
It really could. I mean, C upset defeating Flash earlier in the Terran versus Terran matchup. Different type of situation there. I feel like he really had a cool build for the map and kind of outplayed Flash in small, little, tiny things. But Zero is, I think, the better player right now overall. You and I are feeling it. It looks like 2/3 of the Korean commentators are giving it 40-60 in favor of C, perhaps because of his recent victory over Flash. We're going to an old school map here in Circuit Breaker, a map these two players are very familiar with. It's been around for a long time.
Let's see if C sticks to the older style. He's one of the older Terran players. I don't mean by age, but I mean for how long he's actually been playing at a top level. We've had a lot of very different openers and a lot of very different techs in this matchup. Zero is somebody who definitely understands the current meta in StarCraft 1 in 2016. So this is going to be cool. Then again, C has had so much experience being in the most competitive leagues for so long. It may be the experience alone that carries him through it.
Yep. This is going to be hype, guys. Tell your friends about this. Get them in here.
This is game number 1. 0 versus C. Our third best of 3 in tonight's ASL.
김경훈, 연보성, ASL 시즌 1 16강.
Okay, let's do this. Over here in the purple is our Zerk player 0. And down here in the blue, in the bottom right, our Terran player C.
There's something about the ally vision that we have come up on screen every game that gives me chills. It's just like, it's another one of those indicators of how long this game has been played.
Oh, let's actually, let's talk about that. So originally, when they were putting this game on TV, when did they put Brood War on TV? Was that in the year 2000?
2000 or 2001, I'm pretty sure.
They might have even experimented with it in 1999. I'm not totally sure. But there was no in-game spec mode. Now, I know that a lot of us are used to just having a spectator mode, right?
Yeah.
Like, of course, you need to be able to observe. That was a foreign concept, okay? This game was not made with the intention to be put on TV, but it was that good. So, how did they get around that, you might ask? Well, originally what they did was you could only play on 4-player maps, and everybody who wasn't playing would pick Terran, lift off, and kill their own SCVs, and then the other players would give them vision and ally them. That's actually the old school way.
Yep. And this kind of becomes our traditional. You still have the allies bar tick there. It also is.
They have observer features now, by the way, but just to kind of give a little bit of history.
But it's so traditional that we see that, and also when you put that allied bar up, it shows exactly what in-game IDs the players are using, because there's no restriction on what they have as their ID, so they can make it anything, some nickname, their clan name. C very famous for being in the Shield clan, which is one of the best clans for training that has existed for many, many years in Brood War. So you can actually rep your clan, you can use a nickname, whatever. But when you bring that menu up, it shows what colors they are. And also to the top left, this is something we have in StarCraft 2 also that people ask about all the time. The Z11 means the Zerg is spawning at the 11 o'clock position. If you have a 12-point clock, that's where he is, and the Terran is at around the 5 o'clock. So that's what those numbers mean. It's not like they're on a team and that's their number, like a football team or something.
And people use that as a reference point, and that's sort of the older style of Obsi. But we got a lot of people coming back to watch Brood War, so we're setting stuff up like that here now for a lot of our Korean viewers. So let's go ahead and see what kind of styles of play we're going to have. C, once again, not walling in, but also not doing anything like having his barracks hug inside the main, which is interesting. I know that when I stopped following Brood War intensely, which was when StarCraft 2 was released, I was wondering what that SCV was doing back there. Okay, he's just peeking. I was like, is he going to do something weird, like make a bunker? And
I was thinking he's going to wall the Marines behind the bunker or something.
And then I was like, wait a minute, he hasn't sent his Marine out. But yeah, C is just going for a very safe build. Like I was saying before, when I stopped following Brood War, a lot of other players would either make the barracks right next to their command center so their SCVs could defend easily, but it seems like nowadays, especially on these 4-player maps, Zerk just don't rush at all.
Yeah, it seems pretty unlikely. It's more of a tech rush that you see instead. We do have that quick layer coming up here already, as you guys can see from that bulge. And these Lings are trying to catch the SCV. Harder to do than it looks, actually, to make sure you can grab that SCV.
Because of the fact that the units skate around and the pathing isn't super smart, if you're good at controlling a unit, you can juke and jive around. Kind of like you're like a quarterback trying to run with a football. You can kind of step left, juke right, and try to outmaneuver them.
Yep.
And so there's always that technique in this, which makes the guy who has to kill the SCV work really, really hard to try to catch it. He's got to be doubly strong and quick to get to that SCV, which makes even that little mini game early on pretty tricky.
Now let's see, Tastes, if we see another Queen Den come up. I don't think we will, but we saw that in the previous ZVT. Once the layer is done, let's take a close look. That's just transferring. Okay, it's just going to be 2 base Spires, so early Muta aggression.
So we got to talk about this. This is going to be interesting. So players figured out that you could, like, get so good at controlling mutas It's something I'm actually, I don't know how to do properly. I'm sure there's somewhere.
It's very difficult.
It's really hard to do. What you do is you first group up to 11 mutas in a control group with an overlord. Now you do that because the overlord, since it's not next to the mutas, it never is. It makes the control group together really tight. It almost looks like there's just one fat muta. And then what you do is you start to micro. And if you micro mutas properly, and it's almost insane what you can do with this, but if you micro mutas properly, you can kill off so much. So what this can oftentimes do is you end up just killing the Terran with mutas purely off of control. Now the Terran players a lot of time have to overmake turrets. And while they're overmaking turrets, sometimes the Zerg can take another man. But if the Zerg doesn't do any damage, the Terran completely deflects this. It's hugely problematic for the Zerg because the Zerg doesn't have a third hatch right away and isn't in a good macro position. Now,
every Marine you kill is important because that means the mutas can do more damage. And the first few mutas, obviously, you're not going to have that many of them.
Exactly.
You don't have that much larva, and it costs a lot of gas to do so. And he only has 2 bases worth of gas right now. So picking off Marines like this is huge. And he's not expecting this. He hasn't scouted this this early mutalist play, so he doesn't have his eBay up right away.
Now, normally the Terrans have this mapped out where they're going to get the turrets no matter what, because they just know that there's a threat of this, and then the moment they see the mutas, they double down on turrets. But let's see. I mean, I don't see as many Zergs doing this style of play. It's definitely a build where you just really have to know how to control. And if you misstep, the Zerg can just kill you.
He's being super safe right now, though. He's just backing off and getting these turrets up. So many turrets being played. He's also camped his Marines on top of it just in case. The science facility is done. Even that backdoor turret, there's no airspace back there, but if you get that angle with the stack like you're talking about, you can do a lot of damage. Here's the first group.
You stop at 11 mutas, and then you switch into lurkers while you're doing this. So he's going to come in here. He wants to get this turret immediately. He wants to try to start to snowball. This damage is coming out here, and he doesn't. Oh, he does get it. Excuse me. I thought he wasn't going to get it for a second. The 2 vultures are going to come out here. They're there to actually draw the mutas away and ideally kill some drones.
Yep, he's actually trying to get these SCVs here. They need to finish that turret. It's done now. Trying to repair it. There's 2 turrets in range here. He doesn't get it. And a huge mistake there, yeah. Ouch, that's going to cost him a muta, and now drones are dying over here to these vultures.
Wow, look, C's making this look easy. He actually just held that off. He's got the vultures up here. And if he controls these vultures right, no matter how many drones you get, you can't stop it. You have to have the mutas come up here. Even the lings, with as many lings as you want, they can still out-control you with the vultures. The vultures are just very scary units. Now, the game is stabilized.
He made a ton of turrets, though, which is expensive. He doesn't have a third base, so that's another big win here for Zero. The muta's trying to hunt these down so he doesn't have to worry about them anymore. But this is another cool thing you can do with these vultures. Yeah, killing the drones is the idea, but it also keeps the mutas off your back.
So what Terran's trying to do now is get a science vessel with irradiate out. Now he knows this vulture's coming down here, so he's actually going to hide these drones and make it look like the base was taken later. C doesn't buy it. Really good game sense there.
Now, muta's coming down here again, every single muta to try to catch a speed vulture. With the ion thrusters will actually likely escape. Oh, jukes him here. But it looks
that
like
was really good splitting. Yep, nicely done. So,
the facility is done. He needs to get the vessel. Okay, he has one, but he needs to radiate.
Now you can see he's put that there very carefully. That's because especially J-Dog made this popular. He would just know the exact timing when the vessel would come out, and he would actually fly in with the mutas and a Scourge and just go directly on top of the vessel and kill it. So Terrans are pretty good at positioning that. They'll have that hotkeyed.
Yeah, exactly what you're talking about was about to happen here. It looks like he's considering coming in. So he's finding it.
He's killing some of the turrets. The Terran's killing his own turrets. There it is.
There's the irradiate.
He has to pull. Split.
Okay, very well done.
Okay, now he'll just fly that in. He doesn't care about that. So the reason why Terran was killing some of his own turrets is he needs to make sure that the circulation is still moving properly in his base. And you can see, even with these turrets out here, the mutas can dive in and start to do damage. In fact, he's going to go for the Academy. That could stop Stim from getting done.
That's right. That's the most important upgrade right now for the Terran. And he's actually going to be able to stop it if more SVs don't come over. Look at how much bounce damage these mutas do if you stack them up like this.
Yeah.
That's actually going to be a dead armory, or excuse me, Academy Tasis, I think.
Now, is he going to get it done in time? We see the lights are still going off inside. He's actually got the Marines coming in. Oh, radiate! Oh!
He needs a split. Late split here. Loses just one muta there.
But I think all those mutas are badly bruised. Yeah, so he might actually have to pull out. Now, that was a good save, because if Zero actually kills that
the Academy,
that Academy,
yeah.
I mean, I make a 4th base. Terran can't move out.
Yeah, without Stim, you just simply can't fight.
No, there's just no. I mean, it's foolhardy to try to move out on the map like that. So really good save. Now see this lurker egg on the ramp there? That is to block the vulture from getting up there, and that's a trick that Zergs use a lot. The lurker's more from Hydras, you put the egg there, and it takes too long to kill the egg, and that stops the vultures or oftentimes the Marines as well from running up the ramp. Now we're seeing a traditional old-school Terran push. Oh, my God.
Move command and the
There it
irradiate.
is, there it is, there it is. And he actually lost an extra muta due to the splash on that.
He has a second irradiate available for the lurker. Let's see where he hits. He's going to have 2 lurkers on the ramp. This is kind of the meta right now in ZVT. You keep the lurkers on top of the ramp, makes it very difficult to attack into.
So a lot of this is going to be if he can get that Nidus up too at the third base. He needs to be able to traffic units up to that location. He doesn't have this lurker burrowed.
It's not burrowed. It's not burrowed. He's coming in.
He needs to burrow it right now.
He's not paying attention. He gets the first one down.
Now, as you can see, the lurkers do so much damage to the brittle Marines that it's near impossible for Marines to get up that ramp with just 2 lurkers there because they'll just one-shot everything. Oh, now he's trying to go for an assassinate.
Fails.
Oh, my God.
Close call there, though.
That was crazy. He hit both of them, but didn't kill off either. But that was actually a pretty smart move there by Zero. So I think Terran has to withdraw for a minute here. He might actually come back out with a third science vessel here.
He's looking for these hits again. We had the Queen Parasites obviously give vision of this before in our previous CVT,
yeah,
but this time he doesn't know exactly where this is. He's looking for these hits.
Yeah, Effort was going for a super alternative style in that game. This is like what standard TVZ looks like in Brood War, at least for what I think the majority of people who ever followed Brood War, they would say this was what a game would look like.
He is making that switch, though. He's adding all those extra factories. And he's trying to break this. If he can get a good irradiate here, he absolutely may be able to.
Well,
the Nidus is so important.
He needs a Defiler over here. Now, he's going to try to irradiate here. Now, can these Scourge get up there? Nope.
Oh, they both die, too. And there comes the irradiates.
So you can see how quickly the irradiates will actually kill everything.
Gets another one off, too. So many irradiates. I think he can break this position now. There's no Defilers here. He's just bringing more lurkers back.
I'm actually a bit confused. I don't know where his Defilers
Maybe
are
he
right
just
now.
didn't have a Defiler nest. I didn't see one.
Maybe he made too much Scourge or something, and that's why he didn't have the gas for it.
Well, we're going to see another radiate here as soon as you have enough energy.
He's going to go for the kill here. Good maneuvering there by C.
Yeah, baiting him there with that vessel. And now if he splits his Marines properly, ooh.
Okay, we need to see a Dark Swarm like yesterday.
Oh, there it is. Okay, finally, down goes the Swarm.
So this Dark Swarm ability, nothing range can do damage underneath that. Splash damage does a little bit of damage, but not enough to be as helpful.
Okay, the Hydra's on the right side here. This is a lot of Zerg, but this army is upgraded. The medics keeping the Marines alive.
Okay,
There's so many of these vessels.
If he had a Dark Swarm there, he should have used that.
I don't think he had one. He lost his other there. Okay, I'm a bit late here. He lost one of his Defilers to an irradiate. Here come more Scourge trying to kill these vessels. There's not a lot of Marines under here this time.
Now, keep in mind, Terran's not making much bio off of this, I don't believe, or he should be switching to mech shortly. Or
Here comes the Scourge, though. He's going to grab that vessel.
Okay, nicely done. But now the mech army's pushing in here. Okay, I'm sorry. He still has some bio with this.
But he is making the switch, as you mentioned, back at home.
They start out switching into Vultures now, into this kind of really interesting play style. And then from there, eventually they start to just do full-on mech. Unless C has another way of doing it. I mean, I'm still trying to wrap my head around this this cool tech that we have here that Terran are now using that's totally different.
Oh, this is so scary, the push he has here. That Sunken is going to get killed before it finishes morphing.
So if Zerg loses his base, Zerg loses the game.
Yeah, he won't have enough economy, and it looks pretty scary for him right now. Scourge coming in here. There's no vessels, but it doesn't matter.
I think he actually broke him.
He's just got enough Marines
There's
here.
no Nidus, right? It's
nope,
not. It's
he
not
killed it
Lotus.
earlier.
Oh no,
no, it's
there
alive.
it is. Okay, sorry guys.
But I mean, it looks like he's not interested in using it. Did it die over there?
Oh yeah, okay. So he did lose that Nidus. He made the restarting the Nidus. He started that at the other base, and then tried to connect it over there.
Okay.
So that's why we were confused about that.
Well, this is basically the end of the road here for Zero. He has no economy. There's so many Vultures. He might even just simply be overwhelmed by these Vultures alone. He has no more tech units. He's trying to switch back into Mutas here, which we saw in the previous DBZ before there are Goliaths out. Let's see if this can buy him enough time. He has that Sunken, which is also going to be very helpful here.
Yeah, you don't want to be losing these Vultures like this. Now he switches into the Mutas, hoping that he can try to draw some of the Terran army back, but I think this is kind of a futile tech switch because this wasn't a full-on mech switch like we were talking about. He actually kept it like half-half.
GG just types out. He sees this base. Yeah, I mean, he actually switched, but he kept a lot of Marines. So, yes, he didn't have anti-air in the form of Goliaths, but he had anti-air in the form of Marines.
TVZ is fastly becoming the most interesting StarCraft Brood War matchup to me, man. It's just so crazy, these different styles of play. And by the way, we've seen Zergs beat every style of play along with this, right? So it's not like the Zergs don't know what to do. It just depends on what style you're good against and how quickly you can adapt.
Yeah.
Now, I do want to point out, Zero took a bit of a risk doing 2-hatch Muta. back there. A lot of the Zergs now are back in the 3-hatch play, and then they tech a little bit later.
He also committed to the academy, which he was unable to get. I feel like if he gets that academy, we see a totally different game. But as a result, he didn't get it. He lost his mutas, the irradiates came down, and he couldn't snipe the vessels. The vessel control we saw there was amazing from C. He baited the Scourges in sometimes.
It was pretty godlike, I got to say. No, he really, when you do that 2-hatch muted tech, especially in cross spots, because it's important the mutas get there like very fast, every second counts. If you don't do that much damage, a player like C is going to beat you. We're going to go to the interview now and see how C is feeling now that he has moved on to the round of 8 in the ASL.
Yep, we're going to jump into that in just a moment. Looks like everyone is setting up over there and getting ready.
The TVZs, man.
It's so many flexible techs for both players.
I'm losing sleep at night trying to figure out these new ways people are playing TVZ. So interesting. Okay, on to the interview. So C, you made it into the round of 8.
이 8강 간다는 사실을 본인은
Did you expect yourself to actually get this far after seeing how hard your group was?
좀 조가 좀 세서 그래서 잘하면 올라갈 수 있을 거라 생각했는데 막상 이렇게 올라갈 줄은
So my group was a pretty tough one.
오프라인에서.
I knew it was going to be a very difficult road for me. I'm not really doing well offline actually, but I'm very happy I was able to advance.
살아남은 만큼 욕심 부릴만 할 것 같은데요. 이번 시즌은 욕심이 어디까지 뻗쳐나갔습니까?
Tell us about your goals this season.
이영호는 못 이길 줄 알았어요. 정말로.
저도요.
저희 어머니조차도.
Okay, well, first of all, I didn't expect to be beating Flash. Even my mom didn't expect me to beat Flash. She told me not to go to the studio that day. She said you're going to lose to Flash. She said I didn't want to see you get hurt.
그때 좀 자신감을 많이 얻은 것 같아요.
But after defeating Flash, I really gained a lot of confidence, and that definitely boosted my playing.
들고 계신 분들 계시는데 승자 예측 때 외국인 분이 아마 그 마이너스.
Oh, he's talking about my minus 10%.
저분인가?
예, 아이고 지금
아니야.
저 이거 무슨 이야기죠?
아니 한 명은 친해요. 저랑 같이 옛날에 밥도 먹고 술도 먹은 적 있었는데.
I think he's talking about me because I used to.
He says one of these guys is very good friends with me. We went out to eat.
I used to drink with him all the time in Gangnam, so he might be talking about.
잡으러 가는 줄 알았거든요.
It was him.
It was me. It was me. I'm pointing to me.
예, 그래서 연봉준 선수가.
He says both you guys look tough. I don't want to fight with you guys. Well, that's the deception of the beard man. We're the two biggest swimsuit now. So you played a good match today.
솔직히 원래 준비한 게 이건데 3회치 상대로 했어요. 네, 2회치 상대로.
Yeah, that was the build I prepared.
대각선이어갖고 왠지 명호님 스타일상 또 안전하게 가서 저글링 안 할 것 같아서.
So we were cross spawns.
오히려 더 좋거든요. 대각선이어서. 넌 죽었다.
So I knew that Zero was going to play a very safe game.
개발을 하고 있어요.
And that's why I was able to play more aggressive.
있는 것도 아니고 그 당시에는 무탈인지 러커인지 좀 모르는 상태잖아요. 제가 왜 저걸 개발하지?
찍고 했죠.
저 뭐 마인 개발하나? 그러고 있었는데 갑자기 소급을 해가지고.
Oh, this is a good question. He says, so you didn't know if he was going Mulus or not, did you?
그렇게 오랜 시간 동안.
And he says, yeah, I just sort of trusted my luck and decided to go ahead and get the irradiate and get the turrets up.
He hit those turrets just in time without having to. Game sense, man, of a pro gamer is so important.
Yeah, that gets super close.
제가 결승 가서 결승만 가면은.
So do you think you can make it all the way to the finals? He says, if I do, I'll buy you a suit.
우승입니다 이번 시즌. 예, 영우동
I think that's a diss.
얘기를 해봤고 마지막으로 또 한 말씀 하시고 가시죠.
He says, well, I hope you become the champion and I want that suit. Any final comments to your fans?
감성팔이가 아니라 진짜 제가 너무 방송에서 경기가 잘 안 돼갖고.
So I had a lot of times when I wanted to give up.
많이 해주셔갖고.
And I didn't really perform well in the broadcast matches. I know a lot of fans supported me and wanted to see me continue to play. So I was very happy I was able to perform well for them and advance to the round of 8. And I gotta say, actually, it's pretty cool, by the way, that he actually managed to get to the round of 8, because that's a guy who had a big presence in Brood War, especially right before StarCraft 2 was actually released.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to see that we have players who weren't prominent, who played for a long time, that are doing really well now. And then we've got some of these old school guys coming back. And then some of these legends who are here now, like Effort and Flash, are not doing as well as we expected.
Yeah, and they're playing a lot, too. It's not like they're inactive or anything like that. They're playing just as much as they played when they're on their Kespa team. So it just goes to show how competitive this scene is right now. Everybody's trying to get back into it and try to grab this money and get the fame as Brood War's resurgence starts to grow. almost at an exponential rate here in Korea.
We're going to go to a short break. When we come back, we have one more best of one in tonight's ASL, so don't go away.
The only one. Your name has been paroled throughout the lands you have control. We look up to, floating on cloud nine. Your kindness is divine. But every time we close our eyes, we turn our backs. Didn't face the lies. Oh, give us all the strength we need to fight. Determine our strength tonight. Show me the way. We'll make it okay. We're ready to sky. Show me the way. We'll make it okay. We're ready to sky. You are the flood inside our hearts, drowning every reasoning there's ever been. Zero time. Every time we try to go across the sea.
짬뽕이네? 아이 어서 시켰어래. 그거 오뚜기 볶음 진짬뽕인데 제가 볶았어요. 볶음 찐 짬뽕래. 볶음 찐 짬뽕. 볶음 찐 짬뽕. 깜빡깜빡하지 말래. 오뚜기 볶음 찐 짬뽕. 또 대빵 나겠어래.
질서와 수호를 위해서라면
마귀의 화염이
누구도 나를 막을 순 없어. 방해하겠다면 전부 부숴주지.
나는 KT 기가 인터넷. 당신과 끊김없이 게임을 즐기죠. 어디서나 우린 함께해요. 어때요? 나랑 콜라보 하실래요? 당신의 KT.
메이플 스토리 2 신규 직업 스트라이커.
이거 좋은데?
봄꽃책에서 듣다. 있는 그대로 맑고 깨끗하게 피어나라고 겨울을 이겨낸 봄꽃이 내게 말했다. 맑고 깨끗한 칠성 사이다.
답답할 때 마셔봐요 트로피카나. 상큼상큼 과일 듬뿍 스파클링.
리얼 프루트를 스파클링으로
과즙이 톡톡 쏜다. 트로피카나 스파클링.
미소가 생기다. 화사함이 생기다. 건강한 하루가 생기다.
pH 8.0과 풍부한 미네랄로 핑크빛 생기가 생기다. 아이시스 8.0.
이제 모두 핑크하세요.
스타일 상쾌하면 되는 거야. 상쾌함의 높이가 다르다. Stylish Sparkling Water 롯데 트래비.
메신저의 혁신. 이런 실시간 라이브 움짤 기능은 지금 스노우앱에서밖에 없죠. 굉장히 많은 팬분들이 영상 메시지와 메신저를 보내주고 계십니다. 아프리카 원탑 역캠답게 이설이라고 메시지가 왔는데 길 가다 만나지 마라. 길 가다 만나지 마라고. 느낌 있죠? 리본 하나 찬 다음에 딸랑딸랑 고양이 섹시합니다. 외쳐 스노우.
오호, 물로 지금 거의 뭐 수분을 그냥 갖다 들이붓는 것 같아요. 자, 바른 쪽과 안 바른 쪽입니다. 차이 보여드릴게요. 내가 발라봤는데 대표는 앞으로 그냥 나도 찍어 발라야 될 것 같아요. 잘 봐요. 자, 이렇게 깔끔하게 아래쪽만 다듬어도 선이 딱 살아있잖아요. 선 라인 자체가. 잠깐만. 이런 느낌이구나. 허허. 오늘 여러 가지 제품들 올리브영에서 제가 지금 제품을 받아서 사용을 해봤는데 굉장히 좋은 것 같아요. 올리브영 제품이 짱인 것 같습니다.
네, 아프리카 TV와 함께하는 킹덤 스토리 연애의 신.
이거 사극을 찍는 것 같아요.
정말 안 어울립니다. 약간 왜소하고.
맞아. 위초고 삼국 대결.
장비! 나이스!
나 심쿵했어.
17,800원. 와, 군주는 무릎을 꿇을 수 있어요. 아, 뭐야 이거 어떻게 먹은 건데?
저에게는 간호 장비 같은 존재입니다. 진짜 유익한 게임이니까 여러분들 진짜로 많이 해보셨으면 좋겠습니다.
올리브영 플러스 유소나 예뻐져라 뷰티 방송. 홈쇼핑 아닙니다. 첫 뷰티 방송 시작하겠습니다. 달콤한 꽃에 겹겹이 둘러싸인 듯. 여러분, 이 모든 제품들은 올리브영에서 살 수 있습니다. 새로운 네일 아트로 사랑을 표현할게요. 감사합니다. 고맙습니다. 세상에.
KT와 아프리카 TV가 함께하는 기가 콜라보 페스티벌. 강렬한 태양 아래 해운대 백사장에서 펼쳐지는 국내 최대 기가급 페스티벌. 기가 인터넷의 속도로 즐기는 e스포츠의 축제. 아프리카 TV 인기 BJ가 총출동하는 KT 기가 레전드 매치 오버워치 BJ 리그. e스포츠의 성지 부산에서 펼쳐지는 KT 기가 레전드 매치. 폭풍저그 홍진호, 최종 병기 테란 이영호, 몽상가 프로토스 강민, 혁명가 프로토스 김태경. 다시 만나는 전설 속의 스타크래프트 영웅들. KT 기가 레전드 매치. 아프리카 TV 인기 DJ들의 축하 공연까지 즐길 수 있는 올여름 최고의 기가급 페스티벌. KT와 아프리카 TV가 함께하는 기가 콜라보 페스티벌에 여러분을 초대합니다.
짬뽕이네. 와, 맛있는 거. 근데 어디서 시킨 거예요? 그거 시킨 거 아닌데. 어떻게 볶음 진짬뽕인데. 어떻게 볶음 진짬뽕. 볶음 뜬 짬뽕. 볶음 뜬 짬뽕. 와, 정말로 화끈하네. 볶음 진짬뽕 외에는 절대 현혹되지 마소.
ASL.
What's up, guys? We're back here at the ASL. I'm Tasteless, joined with Wolf. And we got one more best of one for you guys tonight.
Yep, the final match of the night. Another TVZ, which, as we've been talking about, seems to be the most flexible and most exciting matchup right now in StarCraft Brood Wars. So we'll see how these two players decide to play against each other differently than both other TVZs we've seen tonight. We could even see three totally different styles overall from the Zergs.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Oddly enough, yeah, we have a bunch of TVZs tonight, but this matchup might be the most interesting matchup in Brood War at the moment. There are so many different ways people are approaching it. You know, initially this was viewed, I should say not initially, historically this was viewed as the most rigid matchup in the game.
Yeah.
Okay? Zerg, we're always going to get the Defilers, and Terran was always going to get the Science Vessels, and beneath that, there would be Lurkers with some Lings sometimes, and then there would be Medic Marine below the Vessels. Now, people are doing all these interesting techs in between that, occasionally doing crazy techs after that with Mech. We're seeing Vultures used a lot. We're seeing a lot more Wraith usage for Harass. Zergs are getting Queens occasionally to combat these different stylistic changes. And a lot of times we're even having Ultra Link drop if the Terran goes for Mech. So
yeah,
this is like
super late game.
This is crazy to me. I am loving it. But at the same time, I'm also still learning it because it's not the way that I knew how to play Brood War back then.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of a fun time period as everyone is starting to switch the meta. And once the meta starts to switch, everything becomes unlocked. Because he's doing something different, which means you have to do something different, and nobody knows what the answer to the new meta is. So there's 2 different responses or 3 different responses to, Terran going for this mech in the late game. Like, how do we deal with this? What do we do?
Right.
Some players going for Queen, some players are going for the drop, maybe a little bit of both. So it's an exciting time period that we're living in right now.
It's a good time to be alive, Wolf. It's kind of weird, right? I'm sure this is also kind of fun for you guys. So, we had Brood War started all, and no guy who tweeted at me that Quake was the original. This was not on TV. Quake was not on TV. They did not have a league with soundproof booths like this. Yes, they were playing that competitively. It did not compare to Brood War. It did not spark the beginning of esports. But
if there were a Quake tournament today, people would wear headsets, there would be booths. The setup would be like we have StarCraft setups, like it is in Counter-Strike, like it is in League of Legends. Every game that's kind of grown from the Brood War expansion.
So we started with Brood War. StarCraft 2 came out, leading itself to the second big esports boom. Obviously, games like League of Legends, another big esports boom. The beginning of Twitch, right? And then we've actually gone full circle, and it's funny how life goes in circles. And now we're back at Brood War because esports is still so big that even a game that's 18, almost 19 years old has sustainability.
Absolutely. Well, last, a Terran player who switched to StarCraft 2 temporarily, actually was one of the most successful Terrans to switch from Caspa, but went back to Brood War very early on. Hero, on the other hand, a good Zerg, defeating both Best and Mong. Both these players are 2-0, so they are the strongest players in their groups. So this could be an insanely high-level match where we could even potentially learn more than what we have learned already today, like how these 2 players who are both 2-0, and even some of those games in this matchup play this game.
I got to say, I think as we're watching TVZ unfold and still trying to learn about it, we really do have to factor in what the maps are like. Brood War has a really wide range of insane maps, and we're seeing that with all these different maps we have here. This map we're going to be playing this on right now is a map called Fighting Spirit.
Yeah, super old school map that everybody should know.
It's like the last in the basic maps that everybody will agree to play on. I know that this is an issue in StarCraft 2, right? A lot of people won't play on certain maps. We've had a lot more maps overall in Brood War. This was one of the maps that, like, if you wanted to practice a strategy on, this is the one that you go for. You usually get your third base pretty quickly. The center of the map, it's pretty wide and open. There are some ridges there, some like old temple shit or whatever. I don't know. There's like there's some stuff there. I'd have to actually look at the middle of the map again to figure out what's there.
Yeah, it's like the training ground though. It's where you play the game. It's the training room.
Yeah, exactly. This is like where Morpheus fights Neo. Okay, so if you really want to copy builds in this matchup, this is a good map to do it. Now, there's not a lot of crazy features on this map that you can point to. It's very basic. It's very macro oriented. It makes for a real slugfest when you get into that macro game in the middle.
Absolutely. Well, this is an important match. The winner of this, of course, will take first place in this group and will actually go undefeated at 3-0.
Pretty scary. Let's go ahead and get into our match. This is just a best of one. Last versus Hero, a Terran versus Zerg. At the ASL, we're bringing Brood War back, and I gotta say, it's better than ever, guys. Tell your friends to join us. It's gonna be fun.
김성현 조일장 ASL 시즌 1 16강
All right, over here in the blue, our Terran player last. And our Zerg player in the yellow, it's Hero.
That sign we saw just in between compares last play to AlphaGo and saying that I'd like to see him challenge that. So that's something that will happen as the creators of AlphaGo have already stated they are turning to StarCraft now.
That's right. That's the next game. to make to see if machine can overcome man.
Yep. I do love these intros that we have going into this. The Zerg players are using the sound that the infested Terran says, which is die. Before, if you're wondering, both actually all three races using that. Like one sound from their race. I say foreign fans coming down here as well to watch Brood War.
Yeah, we got a small number of them. And guys, you guys are always welcome in our studio. StarCraft 1 or StarCraft 2, come down here.
And one day StarCraft 3, you can still come.
That's right. When I'm 60 and I'm casting StarCraft 5 and all the other casters want to cast it, but they're like, oh, no, Tasis is still alive, and they wheel me out. I got tubes in my nose. Like, just let him say GG one more time. He's going to die eventually. Like, so, we're going to see, what is this, hatch on 12 probably?
Yeah, it looks
12
like
supply.
It. And the drone scout coming out with it.
It might even be 13. It seems like people really are getting defense late nowadays. So, I do wonder, and I don't know if we're going to have queens again in this, but we've had like half the Terran versus Zergs that we've casted have at least one queen, and sometimes like a dozen queens. If that factors into this, I actually won. Well, I wonder, excuse me, if we
You're like, I win, it's over.
I won. By the rules I created by Fiat, I win. No, I do wonder if we'll ever see an infested command center.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that was kind of I was going to lead into, because we have that Zerg die at the beginning, which is one of the quotes from the Infested Terran. The Infested Terran is basically like a souped-up Baneling. It does tons of damage, but also more damage than a single Baneling would do to buildings.
You have to infest a command center with a queen, and you can only do that if the command center is at half health or lower. And so it's just like, initially, everybody would say, well, first of all, when is anybody going to get a queen? Almost never. Now we're seeing queens in the game, so I'm starting to think, well, this could be like totally viable, right?
Yeah, it could definitely be a thing. You have to get to the point where you're killing that CC, which, funny as it is in Brood War, oftentimes only workers are killed. You don't spend time killing the CC because so many things are happening. You just kill the workers, so it's kind of worthless anyways. You move on to kill something else.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Wolf. Workers are definitely a focal point. Like, if you get a hatchery or a command center, it's like, damn.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like StarCraft 2 where the units just do so much damage so quickly that while the CC's flying away, you kind of just kill it on your way out with your death ball. It's just not quite how it works.
Well, you've seen like Stim Marine Marauders where they get into a base and things just start popping, like in that StarCraft cartoon with like balloons.
Right.
They almost look like they're balloons just getting gunned down. It's a little bit trickier to kill structures. I mean, it definitely happens, as we see, but it's not as often prioritized as killing workers or other units.
Yep.
So
early move out with these Marines here. Could try to bunker. This is the close spawns here horizontally.
I don't think he'll necessarily bunker, but I think what he wants to do is make the Zerg make more lings.
Yeah, instead of drones, spend his larva that way.
So we see an eBay right away. I think this is before Academy.
Yes.
Yep, that's before Academy. So he's going to get some upgrades here, and there's a lot of ways that Terran can still kind of play the opening. Sometimes you just make that Academy because you want to get the scans immediately, other time, or you get it Stim, for instance. In this case, it looks like he might not necessarily be doing too much aggression early on here. And there's the Academy after the Engineering Bay.
Yep, so that's going to be kind of where you get all your Marine upgrades. If you're a StarCraft 2 fan, think Tech Lab on a barracks. You get Marine range as well, which is very important.
Yeah,
nice deny on that scout.
Yeah, you especially need that against the Lurkers. Not having Marine range, not that the Marines will outrange the Lurker, but the Marine, a Stim Marine, just like in StarCraft 2, does so much damage, right? Especially if it's in a group, that you really want to make sure you've got it set up.
Every step you take that you're not firing, you're losing damage, and the Lurkers are doing damage to you as well.
So you see that drone there blocking the ramp? The drone is actually fatter than the Zerglings, so occasionally to make sure 100% that the SCV can't scout into the main, they keep one drone at the ramp and just block that off.
Yep. The Academy also allows you to make medics. And again, it's kind of like the Tech Lab in that way. But if you have the Academy, you can make medics out of any barracks. So that's a quintessential unit here, especially in the early game with this meta. It heals your units just like a medevac does.
And it's also interesting because it gets in the way, which makes for some fascinating situations where Lings might not be able to get around.
Yeah, because they heal each other so quickly, and they block, because they have large bodies.
So Zerg's going to go up for 3-hatch Spire. Now this is the more common Zerg style of play here. Not as much 2-hatch Muta. That seems to be a little bit old hat. Although you never know, it might come back into style. But Zerg seem to want to go for more of a macro game. And by the way, a lot of Zergs are not always going for Muta. Some of them are going for Ling Lurker. Now, Terran over here, we don't have a factory, do we, Wolf?
I don't think so. I
don't think so.
We haven't shown one yet, so I think he just went 3 barracks. So he's getting 3 barracks, stim, and medics.
So he might actually push out here. Actually, no, I guess it's too late.
His Sunkens are going to be made in just a moment.
Well, even beyond that, the Spire being done too. It looks like Lass is going to play a very conservative game here if he doesn't move out. One of the reasons why we might have seen a factory a little bit quicker here is they need to get the starport up to get the science vessel, because there's a trick that Zerg have called hold position lurkers, or stop lurkers even. And what they can do is make the lurker not attack until the Terran army is like right on top of it. And if they don't have any, they're not scanning every step of the way, which is not exactly, you know, an equitable move to begin with.
Sure.
They can die. But in this case, Terran's going to move out a little bit later, and the Mutas are going to come out across the map. And this is, like, I believe already about 9 Mutalisks coming over here.
Yeah, I mean, this is his army is way out of position. He's going to have to rely on these 3 turrets alone and repairs to buy time. He does have some rallied units he can use here, but he's just going to ignore these turrets.
Oh, wow. This is, like, super gutsy. Okay, so he just goes right through here, knowing that even if he loses 1 or 2 Mutas, he still kills off a lot of those SCVs. In fact, I don't even think he lost one.
Yeah, very little damage sustained there because he was so quick on that. There were only 3 turrets, no Marines. And he wants to turn this army back around. We do see the Queen Den coming up here.
So Terran's got to be careful in the middle of the map when there's Mutalisks out here, because what you can do is get close to him with the Mutas and make them stim and then run away. And I mean, there's not a ton of energy on the medics if they have to heal a whole stimmed army. Meanwhile, Zerg tries to poke in. This is a lot of that Muta micro. Again, this is different from a 2-hatch Muta. The 2-hatch Mutas get there much quicker. And actually, this looks like it might be some kind of really abstract timing where the Terran can actually stim and just break the Zerg's entrance because the Lurkers haven't even started.
Yeah, they're not ready yet.
Oh,
this could actually just work. I mean, he's got 4 Sunkens. But this is just so many Marines, and he has the +1 with the fast eBay we saw earlier. He's going to use these creeps to try to block and buy time.
Yeah, well, he actually wants to make these into sunken colonies here as well. Now, the Lings are going to come in from behind, but the Mutas are not actually here just yet. If he gets these other 2 sunken colonies.
I think he does. I think he just wins the game here. The Mutas can't defend this. He's trying to target down the medics, it looks like, from the edge.
Yeah, he's actually going to try to hit the Marine. No, okay, that was just some really abstract timing. I guess he just knows that the timing here, if the Mutas come out like that. Now, he can get Lings and Mutas and maybe break this, we'll see. The medics are in a really good spot, though, as you can see. That's it. GG. Whoa. Okay.
The medics cool also block the Lings because they prioritize attacking units, the Marines, so the medics kind of form a wall. They can heal each other while the Marines just kill the Zerglings before they can get behind.
That was really interesting. I can guarantee you the Zerg was not anticipating that attack to actually happen. You can see he immediately tried to make 2
more
sunken colonies. Yeah, and turn those into sunken colonies, but there wasn't enough time. And he completely turned that game upside down for the Zerg. And that's the thing is, Mutas are great at harassing, but against a solid medic Marine ball, you just stem and kill everything.
Yeah. I mean,
that's why you need Lurkers in that matchup.
Same like StarCraft 2. If you don't have AoE damage, you're going to struggle against the Marines because they do so much damage, and they will heal. The medics in this case will out-heal the damage of those small Zerglings, and they can also block at the front. That's something that medivacs can't do in StarCraft 2, but medics in StarCraft 1 absolutely can, as you guys saw there.
There isn't really much else to say about that. That might have looked more basic than it actually was, but that was actually him, like, for a moment being like, oh, wait a minute, the Mutas are attacking my natural. I know this exactly, and he won't have the Lurkers done.
Yeah, and at that position, you can attack a lot faster than you could at, say, cross positions. So,
and I mean, it was a little bit close there. Had the Mutas gotten back in time with the Sunks, then all the Marines die because the Muta glaives, just like in StarCraft 2, they're going to damage so many of the Marines so quickly along with the sunken colonies that you lose everything. But I guess he just knows. He knows to get in there and do the damage. And very interesting stuff. I believe we're going to have an interview with just the winner, I think. And we're going to be going to that in a moment here. And this is going to be with Lass, and I'm sorry, we're going to interview both players. Congratulations.
네,
That looked like an easy match for you.
진출 확정을 먼저 지원해가지고 그냥 편하게 와서 그냥 집에서 게임하듯이 한 것 같아요.
I played pretty comfortably because I knew I was already in the round of 8, so I just played like I was at home.
머린들이 쳐들어갈 때 이거 끝났다라는 생각을 하고 있었나요?
그렇죠. 뮤탈이 계속 이제 앞마당에 털고 있길래.
Did you know that the match was going to end when you sent your army to the front of the base?
예, 진짜 이거 기계 같은 그런
Yeah, when I saw his expansion, I knew I could just break through with my Marine
선수가
Medics.
계속 기대를 받고 있고 실력도 거의 최정상급이다라는 얘기를 듣고 있는데 기대만큼의 성적은 아직 못 보여줬잖아요.
네, 그래서 지금이 한창 잘할 때 같은데.
So a lot of fans are looking forward to your performance. You went 3-0 in your group.
열심히 준비하고 있고, 자 높은 곳까지 올라가고 싶어요.
I think I'm at the peak of my performance right now. I'm actually really confident I can advance deep into this tournament.
결승 가면 또 마음이 바뀌겠죠.
I expect myself to be in the finals.
그런 준비 차곡차곡 뭐 하고 있습니까?
네, 하고는 있는데 이제 만약에
How are you preparing?
만날 상대가 영호일 확률이 높아서 네, 되게 재밌을 것 같아요.
I'm just playing a lot of games and practicing hard.
이용 선수를 만났다면 어떨 것
But
같습니다.
I think in the round of 8 I might have to face off against Flash. I think that'll be a really interesting match.
해보고 싶다는 생각도 들더라고요.
온라인 상에서는 어떠나요?
I also feel a little bit of pressure.
진짜 잘하죠.
But I've always wanted to compete against Flash.
그 승률이 5할이 안 돼요? 이용 선수 상대로?
네, 좀 많이 져요.
We've actually played a lot online and lost a lot to him.
좀 더 연습해서 자신 있게 상대를 하겠다라는 말씀이시죠?
So this is a tournament, an offline tournament.
예, 뭐이
I think it's going to be a very fun match.
한 말씀 해주시죠.
네, 이번에 리그 되게 3승으로 진출하면서 되게 순조롭게 잘 하고 있는데 8강에서도
So I've got 3 wins in my group, and I'm advancing as first place. I'm just going to try to continue my performance and do well in the round of 8. Thank you.
I love to hear things like, I've always wanted to play Flash, I've always wanted to play against a player of this caliber. Even though he beats me a lot, I want that challenge. I want to face him offline.
We've got one more interview, actually. We're also going to interview Hero here. So, brace yourselves.
Brace yourselves.
Here we go.
어떻게 된 겁니까?
So what happened back there?
8강 확정됐다고 너무 이게 쉽게 경기를 내준 것 같은데요.
저도 딱 팩토리 타이밍 보고
So you just gave him the match because you're already in the round of 8? Is that what happened?
좀 늦었네요, 생각이.
예. 다음에
When I saw that he was moving out, I knew I was in trouble, but my defense was just like a little bit too late.
영웅이 될 수 있는 좋은 기회지 않습니까? 저그의 그 희망이라고 할 수 있는 조일장 선수가 됐는데 다음 경기에서는 실망스럽지 않은
So you're kind of the hope of Zergs right now.
네, 뭐 이번에는 사실
Are you going to play better for the Zerg fans? What do you have to say to that? Honestly, I think I was just a little bit too relaxed today.
연습보다는 그래가지고 다음에는 이제
I didn't really practice that much for today's match, and I didn't put too much pressure on myself. I was really more focused on my mental condition. But I will prepare a lot for my round of 8 match, so please, everyone, look forward to that.
일단 8강이 옆에 테란이랑 하는 거죠.
그러겠죠.
일단 그거부터.
I think I'm going to play against a Terran player in the round of 8.
일단 테란은 싫어요?
일단 테란 너무.
If I'm able to win against a Terran,
여기도 테란,
I think I could advance far.
도대체 그럼 누구랑 만난다는 건가요?
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of Terrans in this tournament right now.
토스 만나고 싶으신가요?
네, 토스 만나고 싶은데 많지 않아가지고 일단 테란 옆에.
Honestly, I prefer to face off against a Protoss player, but it doesn't seem like there's going to be as many Protoss players in the round of 8. I'm going to have to prepare well against the other Terrans.
우승까지도 노려봐야 하는데 테란이 요새 또 이 세잖아요. 그런데 그 테란 밭을 뚫고 나가야 되는 그 조일장 선수인데 뚫어낸다면 히어로가 될 수 있습니다.
그렇죠. 솔직히 저희 옆조 테란이 제일 세다고 생각하거든요. 그거 뚫으면 이제 우승할 수 있다고 생각합니다.
아 그래요? 그럼 8강에서 꼭 승리를
He says he
따내서
thinks the Terrans in Group C are the strongest Terrans.
빌겠습니다.
So he says my round of 8 match is going to be very crucial for me. If I'm able to defeat whatever Terran player I'm up against, I should advance deep in this tournament.
오늘 조금 아쉬웠지만 다음에는 더 잘 준비해가지고.
Sorry, I played a disappointing match today, guys. I'm going to prepare well for my next match. I'll be showing better games in the future.
Keeping it real, keeping it basic. But I like that everyone that we interviewed there today, I mean, actually all players we interviewed today, but especially those two, really thinking about the future of their group. Because they already were in, but now they're like, okay, this is what I can focus on. This is who I will probably face. And they're thinking about the group ahead, or the round of 8 ahead, beyond the group, beyond their matches tonight. Because that's really important. Because matchups are so drastically different. If you over-prepare for one matchup, then you face another player, it can really mess you up.
It's interesting to see, too. Like, Effort and Flash are not having an easy time in this tournament.
Yeah, they're really not.
At all.
They still could both advance, and we saw last even expects that he will face Flash in the round of 8.
But I mean, Flash is not just like jumping out of the group and moving on, which is very interesting to me. I mean, we're going to have to see what the actual round of 8 is going to end up looking like. This is what we're going to have coming up on Tuesday, so not tomorrow, but the day after.
We're going to have Effort versus Sock, Sharp versus Jaehoon, Zero versus C. Definitely looking forward to that. And the last.
Taste, those are actually just our results.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. I'm definitely looking at that. I literally just casted that. Whoa, I've casted too many days back to back. Sorry, guys. That's what happened today.
Yeah, that's what happened today.
I'm actually from the future. I time traveled ahead of time.
But we have on Tuesday some matches coming up. I'm not sure if we're going to see those.
I don't even know how I ended up doing that. All right, anyways, here's the group.
All right, so right now the players that are secured in the round of 8, we have 4 of them. So half of them decided are Sock, C, Last, and Hero. We already knew Last and Hero were in.
Right.
But now Last gets seeded into the first place spot, and he expects that he will face Flash, thinking that Flash will get out in second. But that is not decided. Flash is not out of the group yet.
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of the players I was most excited about are not doing amazingly here. But anyways, Tuesday, can I try this again, Wolf?
Yes.
Tuesday, not tomorrow, the day after, we're going to have these great matches, not the ones that we had today. It's going to be Shuttle versus Free, Oregon, also known as Piano versus Larva, Flash versus Mind, and Mong versus Best.
It's a big Protoss day. We haven't had too many of those. We even have a Protoss versus Protoss with Shuttle and Free. So
That's a
gonna
fun matchup.
I love that matchup, so I'm really looking forward to that one.
Okay, guys, what a wonderful day it's been here. Thank you guys so much for joining us here at the ASL. And do us a favor and get out there and spread the word. I know a lot of people watch the GSL but are not familiar that there is a sister tournament, the ASL. And if you like StarCraft 2, you should definitely enjoy StarCraft 1. If you're watching this for the first time, we have another tournament, the GSL. And that's StarCraft 2, just like we have here now, the best StarCraft 2 players.
And Wednesdays and Fridays. So this Wednesday we have the group selection, so no cast for that one, no games.
That's
we will have the groups decided on Wednesday, and then we'll resume the round of 16 on Friday. So look forward to that.
And I guess that just about does it. So we will see you guys on Tuesday. For Wolf and myself, thank you guys so much for joining us. We love you. We'll see you next time. Good night.